This episode of Nintendo Pow Block is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our family of podcasts, head over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia or search for us on the Patreon app on your smart device. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Pow Block here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host, the enlightened, excited NV. Joining me, somewhat the only bossman himself, Mr. Curry Derrick. Hello, good sir.
Hello. Ready to talk some Nintendo, Ed. How are you?
We got a busy family news section today.
Well, it's not that busy. They're just big topics.
The big topics, yeah. I don't know if you added the other one that happened today with Team 17.
I didn't bring it up, but we are going to talk about the Epic layoffs, and I figure I'll just bring it up there. Not that they're not that they're the same company or anything, but
yeah.
There's just like a ton of layoffs going on right now, and
restructuring gaming.
Oh man, it's crazy right now.
Exactly. But we got a good family news for you guys. Quickly, Corey, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good. I just hung out with the fam, and Miles was sick, so we kind of had to, do that. But it was pretty good. It was okay. Got some good eats in. Pretty happy about that. Played some games. One, a couple that I kind of liked, and another one that I don't like at all. So we'll get there when we get to playing with power. But yeah, man, it was a laid back weekend.
That's good. For me, Saturday, I think it was Sadat. Was it Sukkot? The Jewish holiday, New Year. Was Saturday. This past Saturday, September 30th.
Well, Rosh Hashanah was 2 weeks ago, and Yom Kippur was this week, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I sang at a Jewish church Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. And it was really, really good. We did our last rehearsal, cleaned up the bed and everything. And learn some Jewish words, some Hebrew words. I don't say Jewish words, but learn some Hebrew words. And it was really fun and everything. Just really enjoyed my time there. They did have like kind of worldwide foods, from different countries and stuff. But unfortunately, I had to leave because I had to get to work when they got out, when we service was over. But yeah, we had a fun time. And there's this one part. So the rabbi is about to give the word, and he said, as I look back over my life, and me and my friend started singing this song that got that line in it. They got that phrase as a line. And I told them, isn't it bad that we both heard that and said the same thing, saying the same thing at the same time? And he's just like, right. So, yeah. But it was really fun. I know we're gonna be doing it again next year and stuff. And I just had a really good time. We had a lot of diverse songs this year, which I was kind of happy to have. So I cannot wait for next year. But that kind of was my weekend.
Fun.
Yes.
Good times.
Real good times. Well, everybody, it's time for Snacktendo! And I'm going to go first, Corey, because I haven't really had much to snack on. Not besides the Fanta strawberry in our store that we got back, and everything. We started putting out the Christmas candy, but we haven't got nothing new just yet. So I'm just waiting for some new Christmas candy. I found out that I don't know if I told. Well, I think I told you this, Corey, or
probably.
I don't know if I said this. Smuckers brought Hosties. The Smuckers
Mm.
company brought Hosties, and so I haven't heard anything else out of that. So I don't know if they're going to be rolling anything new and stuff like that at this time. But um, really, I just been in the same old Chipotle and Chili's and stuff like that. And
Mm.
reason being is because um, a lot of the places around here haven't got put out a new menu, a new item. Um, so probably Wednesday. I mean, by the time you guys see this, hopefully next week I'll have something because Wednesday I'm going to go to Chicago, walk around and see if there's some new places to get food from. Hopefully I can hit up Grayson and be like, "Hey, sir, I miss the city. You wanna catch a lunch or breakfast? I know you got some things going on, but just wonder if you
Mm.
wanna vibe out for a little bit and stuff, and then come back home that day." So pretty
Mm.
much that's like really it and stuff. Last but not least, had some Dominoes, but I had the little bread dots.
Mm.
Um, those are really really good.
Mm.
Nice, buttery, and guarded with that Parmesan. Um, just like they just melt in your mouth when they're hot.
Nice. Nice. I
Great. What
like
have you been
I
snacking on?
so speaking of pizza, did not have Domino's, Ed, but we went to the quote unquote fancy pizza places this weekend. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really that fancy. It's like a 17-inch pizza is like $25. Uh but I sent you a picture of it. It's this place called Dewey's in Fairlawn, and it's like the best pizza ever, but like it's kind of like it's not that expensive, but when you have a Domino's down the road and like you're trying to live cheap, right? Like you can get
Yeah.
4 pizzas for the price of one at this place, right? So,
Right.
you got to pick and choose, but this was man, we got one like extra large pizza, half southwestern barbecue chicken, and the other half was it's their meat lovers pizza, but it's called the Don Corleone, and it's got salami, giant pepperoni, ham,
Mm-hmm.
and regular pepperoni on it, and
Yes.
it's really good. It's really good. I wish they would have cooked it a little bit longer though, because the meat wasn't quite crispy enough. Like the
Ah,
Italian meats, it was just
yeah.
hot meat, and I was like, well, it's okay. But man, I gotta tell you, it was really good. I like it because their crust is dry. Sometimes you get pizza
Hmm.
crust and there's like butter and like, garlic butter or, just
Yeah.
grease all over it. This is like
Yeah.
dry pizza, which is what I really love. And it was so
It,
good, man.
a little bit flavorless in a
The,
way, or it's just like
the
more doughy in a sense.
yeah, it was definitely, less flavor, but that really makes you know, the toppings pop, Ed, and then I got the little packets of the crushed red pepper and put a little bit of
Uh,
parmesan or like um the we call it shaky cheese here, the you know what I'm talking about, the
yeah.
so uh my kids just the words adult words just don't exist in my vocabulary anymore, so we got the shaky cheese, and man, it was delicious. I gotta tell you, man, it was so good, Ed, that like I was like trying to really kind of limit myself, right? So I had like 4 pieces, right, to eat for dinner. Um,
Yes.
but then that night after Asana went to bed, I ended up eating 3 more pieces of it. Just
How many
pop it.
pieces were there?
12.
Oh,
12.
they cut it. Oh, they cut it in 12 slices. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my kids each had a piece, and then my wife had 3 pieces because she's small. So, you know, and I got the rest. Woo! Uh, Maybe it was
Did
only
you eat
10
both?
pieces.
Did you eat
It
from
was
both
10 or 12 pieces.
sides?
Yeah. Yeah. I do have to admit the southwestern barbecue chicken is better. I wish we would have just got pepperoni on the other half, but
Mm.
we didn't. So it was good though. It was really good, man. I love pizza. I'm a fan of
Man,
pizza.
so like cooked piece, like buying from the store and taking home pieces, the take home pieces and stuff like Tombstone and Jacks and stuff. Dude, I made a Tombstone one. I cook it under a little bit of the time that they tell that's on the packaging,
Mm-hmm.
um, because my oven, if I do it at that time, it overcooks it, and like
Mm-hmm.
it sometimes feels too so much like a brick.
Yeah.
Man, I had a sausage and pepperoni tombstone pizza 2 weeks ago. Cooked it just right. Ate half of the pizza, had to put everything up, sat on my mom's couch and blacked out again. I was just like, oh goodness, I fell into darkness. That pizza was literally that good, and I because I haven't had a tombstone in a while. I normally do tombstone or Jack's, and Jack's really wasn't on sale or anything, and we don't sell Jack's no more in my store. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna go with Tombstone. It's only $4. I could do
Mm. Nice. Nice.
that.
Man, and then I also I think the best store bought pizza, by the way, is um Mama Cozy's from Aldi. I love their four
Yeah,
cheese. I love their 4 cheese pizza, and I like their Supreme a lot. So
yeah, they're good too.
yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah. Well, everybody,
Wait, I'm not
anything else,
done.
Corey? Oh,
Yeah, I had some ice cream for the first time in like
ooh,
forever. Cookies and cream.
yes.
It's the best. Let's be honest.
I've been
Let's be
eating
honest.
I've been eating the chocolate Haagen Dazs lately.
Mm.
Be basic,
Yeah, still good though.
yes. Well, everybody, it's time for Play with Power. Corey,
Woo!
where have you been playing with Power?
All right, Ed. So last week I think I was partway through Oxenfree 2. Maybe I finished it last week. I don't remember. Uh, but so I played Oxenfree and Oxenfree 2 back to back, and I was I wasn't really into it. But Oxenfree's story was like it started picking up towards the middle of the game, and I kind of got hooked, right? And so uh I finished it and I really liked it. I at the end of the game I really liked it. I mean, it's not like in
Uh,
my top games of all time or anything at all, but like I enjoyed it, right? And the ending was really good and I really liked the characters. I think Alex is a great character. I think her friends are hit or miss depending on which ones you hang out with. But overall, really liked the story. I liked how it ended. It left a little mystery. You weren't sure. And then I played Oxenfree 2, Ed. New characters, 2 new characters, we'll say, 2 new main characters, I'll say. Both of them are kind of boring. Both of them kind of suck. And you're making your way through the story, and then they tie, like, not no spoilers or anything, but they tie it back into the first game. And I like at the end of the first game, the ending like left a little bit of mystery. Did that really happen or did it not happen? Right.
yes.
Well, the second game, I mean, no story spoilers, I guess, but the second game spoils the ending of the first game. Like, not in the way of like, if you didn't play the first game, it spoils the first game. Like, it leaves no mystery to the first game anymore. Like, it kind of confirms the ending. And it's like, I don't want to know that. Like, I don't want this to be tied into the first game, you know?
It resolves the first ending in a
Yeah,
sense.
it resolves well, it doesn't resolve the first ending. It just like the way it ends. I don't know if you've ever seen Inception or not, right? But they kind of
Um,
just like the ending of Inception. I mean, people listening, if you've seen Inception, like the
I seen
ending
it.
where the top spins at the end and you don't know if it's going to fall or not, and they cut away before you ever know. That's kind of
Yeah.
how the first game ends, right? But then like they give it like they tell like in the second game as you're moving through it, they tell you the ending of the first game. Like instead of leaving it to mystery, they are like, oh yeah, that that happened, right? Like the mystery is no more, you know. It's like, dude, in like playing them back to back, it like made it even worse, you know, because like Oxenfree came
Mhm.
out what 5 or 6 years after the first one, and they did
Yeah.
Night School did, I forget what they did in between. They did a game in between, and then
The
you
one
know it
that
just
I think the two kids with the hail or something at the
I
party.
don't remember. Yeah,
I think
After
it's at the
Party.
party.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just like it kind of ruined the whole experience for me, to be honest. Like Oxenfree 2 is definitely not as good as the first one, but it just kind of ruined the experience for me, to be honest with you. You know, because the first
Mhm.
one, I would say if you are interested in these games at all, and I guess if you haven't played it, I kind of just ruined the first game for you, but play the first game and don't play the second game, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's just maybe I really like the first game. The second game is not nearly as good, and I don't like the way they tied in the first game. Uh, on the other hand, I've been playing Alan Wake Remastered, Ed. Let me tell you about this game, Ed. Let me tell you. It feels like it feels like a late PS2, early 360 game in all the worst
Mhm.
possible ways. And like I know it's a 360 game, right? But this is a
Yes.
remaster. They could have. So here's the thing. Okay, they're using the same voice track from the first game, from the original game. Okay,
Yes.
I can handle the very bad voice acting. Okay, I can handle the bad voice acting. Alice, the wife, has the worst voice acting I think I've ever heard. The agent Barry, I think his name is,
Mhm.
also has like a terrible fake New York accent, right? And it's like
Kind
it's
of
really
very.
bad.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, it's like the guy in Bayonetta,
That's a
right? Where
yeah.
like, but the one in Bayonetta, he's like way over the top, and it's
He's
funny or meant to
he's
be funny. This is
he's
like,
giving that he's giving that Joe Pesci impression
yeah,
in
and it's like,
Bayonetta.
yeah, but like this Barry in Alan Wake like goes halfway, but it's meant to be taken seriously and not over the top like Bayonetta is. So it makes
Yeah.
it that much worse. Oh man. And like the guy that plays Alan Wake is like his voice acting is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. It's serviceable. But there are clearly parts where you can clearly see like hear that he's reading the script, right?
Oh yeah.
There's no like natural acting there. And it's like,
I,
but that's not the only thing I have. That's not the problem with this game, Ed. Unless you had something else to say about the voice acting.
the not so much the voice acting. It's literally almost not the whole story. Because
Oh,
I
I'm
know
getting
it's
to the story. I'm getting to the story.
I understand what they're going for, but I know your wife is missing, that you're missing her. You don't have to keep saying this almost every chapter. We get the
Mhm.
picture. Get through this
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Also, like like from what I'm getting from the story, like I never paid any attention to Alan Wake, like ever, right? And I
Mhm.
accidentally listened to an Alan Wake remastered spoiler cast the other day, and I hardly paid attention to it. So I like, you know, really don't know. But like, the game is meant to spoilers, I guess, for Alan Wake one. Um, so the game kind of feels like you're playing through the manuscript that he's currently writing. And every
Right.
time he
It's
writes something, that event happens and you have to play through it, right? And
right.
like it's like a Twin Peaks style scenario where like
That
you don't know if Alan is crazy, if this is really happening to him, or if he's the fictional character that's being written in this manuscript that he's writing, right? And
right.
so there's all these possibilities. And like I understand people like that kind of stuff. I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like this type of storytelling, right? I'm a very basic person when it comes to storytelling. I want to watch stuff like I like Star Wars and lightsaber fighting and stuff blowing up, and I like, you know, pretty much stuff that you don't really have to pay attention to, right? And just enjoy stuff
Right.
blowing up or somebody making a dumb joke or that kind of thing. I'm not into this like deep thinking, quote unquote, hipster storytelling. Okay. I'm just not. So that's a negative for me. It's a negative for me, but I understand that people like it. So I wouldn't take points off for that. Um, the last thing, Ed, the last thing, well, not the last thing. I could probably think of like 10 others, but the last major thing,
Besides
the
it being
comp.
too dark to see this whole game
I know
at times.
I had to turn the brightness all the way up. I couldn't see a thing. But other than that, man, the combat, dude, the
Uh,
movement, the combat. So you know how like Uncharted 1 feels?
yes.
It feels like a looser Uncharted 1 where like the combat is like, okay, the movement's kind of loose, the shooting's not great, and I don't think Naughty Dog games have the best mechanics anyway, like combat wise or movement wise, and it kind of feels like it makes Uncharted and The Last of Us feel like Gears of War, man. Like this combat is so bad. Like the flashlight mechanic and the guns
uh,
and like the battery mechanic, I just
there's
it's
too
bad.
much. There's too much going on for a simple fight, and then when you get overrun and you don't have enough ammunition and everything, it's just like, okay, so now what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Because that was one of, and I beat Alan Wake, and I played
Yeah.
it on them. I did the three
Oh, I
sixty
didn't. I'm
version.
playing it. I'm playing it on easy, man.
So yeah, I played it on normal. I did the 360 version on Xbox One because I got the
Mhm.
physical copy and
Yeah.
everything. And I was like, okay, let me give this game a run to see what everybody was talking about, to see what this game is about and everything.
Hmm.
And it really, kind of realize that, okay, this combat is terrible. This design is terrible. Like, Remedy, what were you thinking of? I don't know why this game got so much praise. But then you play Quantum Break, and you play Control. You be like, okay, yeah, I could still feel some bad gameplay ideas and everything, but this is better with Remedy. This is a better Remedy. Definitely with Control. Control is just like, okay, you guys learn from something. And I know what you guys are going for. I'm here for what you guys are going for with Control. Alan Wake just seems like a mess in the story, and this combat is annoying because it's just like, so you mean I gotta get a flashlight, turn it to a physical form, pop them and shoot them like they're fire, like it's a firecracker, and then be running around and dodging while three other dudes is coming at me, and I'm only got like
Hmm.
6 bullets. Like, how in
Hmm.
the heck am I supposed to fight them like that?
Yeah. Well, I think the intention of the game, which is what I've been doing, is like you're not supposed to fight every battle. You're supposed to get to the next lamp post, which counts as a checkpoint, right? And after you get to the lamp
Mm-hmm.
post, and I mean, Alan Wake on Metacritic has a 79, which in my if I was to rate what I've played of Alan Wake so far, which I just got to chapter 5. So I think I have 2 chapters left, maybe 3 or 4 hours left in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would probably give it like a 6.5 or a 7, right? I I'm trying to
I
think
would
of
give
it
it a
from
6.
I'm trying to think of it from like a critical standpoint and not because I mean my personal bias I would give this game like a 4, but I'm trying to think about it critically and like and I'm not thinking about its reception or how people have revisionist history on it about,
Mm-hmm.
oh, the game was awesome, when I'm like, I bet half of you didn't even play it. And like, I don't know, you know how people get with these games that are kind of old and they remaster them and all of a sudden they're popular because reasons, right?
Right.
I don't know, man. I don't like it. And we're supposed to do Alan Wake 2 for book club in November, and I'm really thinking about tapping out because I really don't like this game.
So I am planning on getting Alan Wake 2 and playing it.
Yeah.
Because it's like this month, and I'll get to my plan with power in a bit after you, Corey, of my plans of spooky stuff, and
Hmm.
everything. I just feel like I don't want to go back to Alan Wake. I'd rather just watch it and everything to get a refresher, and then hop into 2. Because even if I played it on easy, I think I would still be upset because it just feels antiquated, and it's just like, Remedy, I know you could do better.
Well, I want to be clear. Remedy didn't do this in house, and this game is from 2010. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to, I don't want to put too much, because obviously, like, Quantum Break is 1,000 times better, and Control is way better
Yes,
than that, right? I mean, I had
yes.
the first when we first started playing Control, when you, me, and Jesse were first started book club. You know, uh, I didn't really care for it because, like, I felt like there was potential, but the 30 to sub 30 frames a second kind of ruined the fast paced combat and the kinetic combat for
The
me.
Yeah,
But if you
the technical issues was just a mess.
Yeah. But if, like, when they put out that Ultimate Edition at 60 frames a second and fixed all the
Mm,
bugs and fixed all the issues and added the ray tracing, like, the combat felt better, the movement felt way better, the
yep.
the extra stuff they put in the story was cool. Like, I fell in love with Control with the Ultimate Edition, and you know, I also, man, I wish Quantum Break would get some sort of patch for Xbox Series, right? But
I
I don't,
kind of
I don't,
want that.
I
I
don't think they
kind of want.
are.
I definitely want a Quantum Break too.
Yeah, but
I finished that game.
Remedy would want to tie that game back into Control and Alan Wake,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if they are, and unless unless they put, Sean Ash. It's not Sean Ashmore; it's his brother who's in it, and, like, he's not playing the same character. So I don't know, unless they try to tie that into some multiverse, other dimensional story or whatever. But, like,
It, that's the one part on how they would tie Control and Quantum Break, because the lead character in Control is another character in Quantum Break. That's the
mhm,
voice actress for it.
mhm.
Plays those two parts. So it's just like, how do you connect that? Like, are they going to have the same voice and everything? Because I don't want to ruin
Yeah.
Quantum Break if anyone hasn't played it. But
Yes. If
there's
you
a
have
terms of,
Xbox Game Pass or PC Game Pass, or if you have $20 to spare, play Quantum Break. I know it runs
mhm,
at 30 frames a second, but it's worth it. It's so worth
it's
it. And,
worth
like,
it.
the TV stuff, um, it's really good.
It's I could just watch the TV stuff alone. It was so
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, that's the thing
And
too. Is, like, there's 20-minute TV episodes in it, so, like, every maybe 2.5 hours, you get a 20-minute break to watch the episode.
yeah. And what's his name who passed away is in it?
Lance Reddick.
Lance Reddick. I apologize. And he was just so good in that game
Yeah.
and everything. And just to let everybody know that Quantum Break deals with time.
Hmm.
Control deals with the supernatural.
Hmm.
Um, and so they're two different worlds. Um, but I don't know if they both were happening at the same time. Um,
Yeah.
and
Who?
it's because it's weird. Because what they're trying to do, with Sam, what's his name? Man, I'm bad at remembering names.
Sam Lake.
Um, Sam Lake. He's trying to connect the Remedy universe with Alan Wake, Quantum Break, and Control,
Hmm.
and everything. But that's why I kind of want Remedy to work with Nintendo to do Eternal Darkness. Fix
Hmm.
the combat. Nintendo go in and give
Yeah.
them quality assurance. Like, make sure you get that right. But I know they could bring the horror.
Hmm.
Work on a good storyline if they need to, but I know they could bring the horror, because Control is, as a supernatural game, it is a great story. It's one of their best stories, I think. Quantum Break is another good story, and the way that they
Hmm.
tell it. But Control is like this is the Remedy that I love, and I think they could bring that over to Eternal Darkness. If they want to do
Mhm.
Eternal Darkness too, I don't know what
Yeah.
Alan Wake 2 is going to be, but we'll see when that releases.
Yeah, I mean, Alan Wake 2 is they confirmed it's a survival horror game with adventure game elements, so like that is
Mm-hmm.
also a negative for me to want to even play Alan Wake. Not that I was going to play Alan Wake 2, but with book club, um I just man. But so I looked it up. Remedy does not own Quantum Break. Microsoft owns it. Um Remedy Entertainment has confirmed that its 2016 game Quantum Break isn't part of the Remedy connected universe. Uh Once again, speaking to the fact that the studio does not own the IP, even as the game does echo into other Remedy connected universe projects. So Microsoft owns the IP. If we get a sequel, Microsoft would have to go to Remedy to see if they would, you know, do it.
And I think they would. I think Microsoft would.
Yeah, but I think Microsoft has moved way past that at this point. I mean, Microsoft. I mean, they have like 35 studios to look after now, right? And they have like those studios are working on multiple projects. Some of them are working on multiple projects. So there's like 40 games somewhere in development, maybe. So I don't
But
think we're going
none
to
of
see
them
Quantum
could.
Break 2.
Yeah, I think it's just like none of them could do anything like that. And I'm not knocking those. I'm not knocking
I
those
would,
studios or anything.
I would actually say with the way Ninja Theory has done Hellblade, the first one,
Uh,
and what seemingly the second one. I mean, not maybe not the way that Remedy does it, but I could see them telling the second part of this story if they wanted to. But I wouldn't. It would not be
I
a Remedy game. So
I if
man,
they uh, if they acquire Crystal Dynamics, give it to them. And the reason why, because I have more faith in Crystal Dynamics and their design, the way they tell a story, and they know good control because of the Tomb Raider reboot. I think the
mm-hmm.
Tomb Raider reboot is such a great basic way of making a third person action game in a
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
And I
Well, that's why they're working on
believe
Perfect Dark.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I believe that with all the lore and the way that they provide story, I think they could jump into a time mechanic and stuff to be able to tell a Quantum Break 2 story. I would definitely, if it had Crystal Dynamics name on it, it's a day one purchase.
Yeah. I
That's just me.
I just hope they don't get ruined by Embracer at this point. I
Uh,
mean, I know they
yeah.
laid off 9 people the other day, but I I mean, I know Microsoft probably isn't looking to buy any more studios after this Activision thing, but like,
Yes.
I mean, the man, Crystal Dynamics and IDOS Montreal would be like a perfect fit for Microsoft. But um, going back to just, I think uh, Remedy would be awesome to do Eternal Darkness. I think they could. I think that would be an amazing game. But
Yeah.
what was the other game that I played that I didn't put on this list? I shoot, what did I
Disney
play?
Dreamlight.
I mean, I did, but I wasn't going to talk about it. I man, I forget what else I played.
And
Oh well.
you literally.
Oh, Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways I played,
Oh,
which
nice.
I really liked actually. I'm not a big scary game guy, and I definitely, you know, don't care about playing Resident Evil. See, here's the thing with Resident Evil. I'm so interested in the story and the lore and how dumb it is and the characters are
Mm-hmm.
cool and like that kind of thing, but like actually playing the games, I'm just like I can't handle the spooky stuff, right? Um but I did really like Separate Ways. I don't understand why people think Ada is a terrible voice actress. I think she's good. I think what they wanted out of her and she's doing it perfectly. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm playing Alan Wake and that voice acting is terrible that this sounds like an Oscar winning performance to me, but I don't know. I really liked it. I think the grappling hook is cool and the ways that you can use it, like when you take down an enemy, you can grapple hook to them to close the distance and kick them in the face, which is funny. Um, I don't know, man. I really liked it. So we're gonna do a book club on that too. I think, like a mini one. But it was really cool. I really liked it.
I can't. Hopefully, five gets remade in a
No,
sense.
it's got to be Code Veronica first.
Oh yeah,
It's got to be
that's
Code
oh
Veronica.
that is a. Let me tell you, a Code Veronica gets remade. I'm definitely buying it. I'm sorry, Capcom. I'm sorry, Sega on the Dreamcast, but I could not play Code Veronica.
Hmm.
That I just could not play. I was just like, I'm fed up with this mess. This is
Yeah.
nonsense.
The one that I want that I think would be really great would be a full remake of 1 again in the style of 2 or 3. Like behind the
Ah,
shoulders exploring the mansion.
uh,
I mean, I know 1 already got remade, but it's what the almost the 25th anniversary of that game. When did it come
yes.
out? When did that 30th anniversary 2026, right? So,
For the PlayStation 1, yeah, about 1996 90. No, it had to be 97, I think, because I was able to buy the first version of Resident Evil with the big black box on
mhm.
PlayStation 1 when I was 17 working at Six Flags. So I had an ID and everything. Uh, and I was able to buy the game and stuff. This
Wow.
is when it was in-rated games and you had to be 17 and you had
Yeah,
to show ID.
yeah,
And I showed my ID. I was able to buy Resident Evil.
yeah. But that's all I've been playing. What are you playing, Ed? Sorry, it took so
So
long.
that's okay.
We got on a
So
tangent. Ah.
I'm playing Death's Door on Series X. I just got back hooked on it. I haven't started anything on Switch yet. I'm not supposed to be starting Ben and KOTOR, and I will start that. But like I just got into the feeling of Death's Door, and I'm starting my spooky season of gaming. So this week I'm going to start Resident Evil 6 and try to get as far as I can with that. Next week is going to be Luigi's Mansion 3. And then the third week of October, I'm doing Dead Space, the remake. And then the final week, because Alan Wake 2 is coming out, I'm going to pick up Alan Wake 2 and play that. So, I mean, I will be playing other games and I will be starting some stuff on Switch. Yes, and I will be playing Super Mario Wonder. Like, that's a given. Um, but I am going to be playing those games. But Death's Door, right now I'm at the part where I'm about to go into the underground so I can fight Granny, the like the big major boss, and beat her and everything before I get to the second part and fight that frog and crack up all that writing that he had. What have they been up to? I wonder. I'm like, where is their next game at?
Yeah,
And everything. So, but that's pretty much just it for right now. But I'll have more stuff to talk about next week. Now that like things are calmed down and stuff.
oh man, I
But
have
it,
so much to play now. It's not even funny. Like there's games that I want to play, and then there's games that I
mm,
have to play for book club, and I'm like, I just there's not enough time. No time.
I can't. I know definitely when Gear 6 come out, I want to run do 4 and 5 again
Mm.
before I play 6 because I kind of want to get the story again.
Hmm.
Um, and I
Well,
know
they have.
someone's going.
Sorry,
Oh,
go.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say I really liked how Gears 5 had the previously on Gears, and they recapped the entire. Well, not the entire story, but the important
Hmm.
points of 4. So,
Yeah,
like a previously on like a TV show.
yeah, and then I'm I think next month sometime I am gonna restart Cyberpunk 2077 on Series X. I'm gonna do the update and everything, and
Yeah,
I took it off my system, so I got to install it again. Um, because I took Callisto Protocol off my system and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I took those two off, and it gave me like 277 gigabytes of memory. He
hmm.
gave me some space. Because I don't know if you ever going to jump in the Yakuza series, Corey. Because I'm just like the moment you say that you playing it, I'm starting it up. I'm playing it with you.
I downloaded. So it's funny you say that. I actually like. I want to play Yakuza, and I want to play. I want to play Phantom Liberty, but I know there's a lot of 2.0 updates to Cyberpunk, and like CD Projekt Red recommends you start a new playthrough if you've played it previously. And so like, man, that game was so long, man. And like, I want to be able to put the time into it. But I also want to play Yakuza, so I downloaded Yakuza 0. But I don't know if I'm going to get to either of those yet. I want to make sure like the book club stuff is prioritized. Like I'm playing Alan Wake Remastered for the Alan Wake 2 book club because I never played it, and I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about on the previous stuff. But then like we're doing Spider-Man in December, Spider-Man 2. So like I re-downloaded Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales because I have to play those. And so, I mean, I know that those games aren't that long. I know Miles Morales is only like, 5 hours long, 6 hours long if you mainline it. So, so that's what I've been, aiming for. We'll see, I guess. I'm having this like thing where I want to go back and finish games that I never finished, like even if I didn't really care for them all that much. Like God of War Ragnarok is a game that I've been wanting to finish for like almost a year now, I guess. And like I don't really care for the game, but I like God of War as a franchise, even though these last 2 games didn't really do it for me. But I'm invested in Kratos, like I have been for 20 years. I have to like I have to keep going.
Right. I know I need to just sit down, cut my PlayStation 4 on, and just mainline Horizon Forbidden West. Like I got to get through that game.
Yeah, that's another game that I still haven't played. I played like the first hour and then I stopped because I was going to finish God of War before I played that, and then I never did. Whoops.
Everybody, that's playing with power. Now it's time for Femi News. Corey, take it away.
All right, we're going to start off with a pretty big kick in the pants. Epic Games, among other studios, but this one's more about Epic Games, lays off almost 900 people. I think the total is 871 people. Almost 16% of their workforce, including companies that they own like Mediatonic, who does Fall Guys, and Psyonix, who does Rocket League. I'm going to get into this Game Informer article because they also divested in Bandcamp, which they just bought like 18 months ago. And they divested the advertising platform Super Awesome. And yeah, I mean, there's just like a real. I'm gonna read the quotes here. Okay, this is from Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic Games. For a while now, we've been spending way more money than we earn, investing in the next evolution of Epic and growing Fortnite as a metaverse-inspired ecosystem for creators. I had long been optimistic that we could power through this transition without layoffs, but in retrospect, I see that this was unrealistic. Sweeney then explains that despite taking steps to reduce costs, such as scaling back on marketing and events, Epic still fell short of achieving financial stability, and that layoffs were the only solution. Sweeney states that 2/3 of the terminations come from the teams outside of core development, and that these departures will not come at the expense of game development or lines of business. Sweeney also says that this will be the only round of layoffs, and that Epic will still be hiring for critical roles. Development of content for titles such as Fortnite, Fall Guys, and Rocket League will continue as planned. There's one other thing in here. Impacted employees will receive severance packages of 6 months of base pay and 6 months of Epic paid healthcare for workers based in the US, Canada, and Brazil. Epic will offer workers the option to accelerate stock options vesting schedules through the end of 2024, while adding 2 extra years from today to use these options. U.S. employees can also vest any unearned profit sharing from their 401k. Lastly, Epic will provide career transition services and visa support. So before we get into the negative, if you're going to get laid off, that's an incredible package to get laid off from.
Yes.
Especially with like the stock options and all that stuff, right? Like it's that's a pretty nice severance package, I guess. It's really interesting. Also, like I don't. These layoffs come just a few weeks after Epic's chief creative officer and Fortnite head Donald Mustard announced his retirement from the company. Um, this is from Marcus Stewart over at Game Informer. But the layoffs, man, I didn't realize Epic was that big. 870 people is only 16% of their workforce. They make
Yeah.
they
They
make one game, have one store, and run one engine. Like, do you need uh like
they they bought
9,000
that
people?
mall that was abandoned.
Yeah, to make their new studio. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I forgot that they did that. It's just I don't I guess I didn't really understand how much investment was going into like the Unreal Engine stuff, right? Because I mean, obviously they're investing a lot in Fortnite because it's Fortnite. Um, but like that game makes so much money. I think they're probably losing money on the store because nobody likes the Epic store because Steam exists. And
Mhm.
like they did that 88-12 split for games, and then new indie games to put your game on the platform, right? For the first 6 months, or first $1 million. Like if you don't like you make the games make all the money, right? Epic doesn't take a cut for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
um and then they're paying for those like the free games, right? Like they're paying the
Mhm.
companies to get free games on the store. They're making exclusive deals like with Borderlands 3 and a couple other games, right, where they were exclusive to the platform
But
for a
that
year.
and all of that slowed down. They're not. I haven't
I know.
heard any Epic Game exclusive
I know.
happening.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if they like ended up closing the Epic store. I wonder if that investment was so big that like that's my guess is that's where like most of the money went, was to like get the store up and running and to keep it going. And
Hmm.
then also, like, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the PC side of Fortnite, but like the creator program where like people are literally recreating their favorite games in Fortnite. Like somebody I think somebody recreated Halo and Call of Duty to the point where Activision was going to sue them because
Yeah.
um there's all these things, and like you can use all the Unreal assets, all the Fortnite assets in these creator modes, and you can make your own games out of these and it's just I feel like if you were doing all this, like you must have been making money hand over fist to be doing all this. And like I feel like their investments were spread too thin, and they should have just focused at this point. Hindsight's 2020, but I wonder if they should have just, okay, we're investing in Fortnite, we're investing in building the Unreal Engine and showing what it can do, and then the other ideas, if maybe every year they take another step of like, okay, now that we're financially stable with the Unreal Engine and Fortnite, we move to the what do you call it, the creator program. And then after
Yeah.
the creator program, like I don't know, man, this just seems like
So
first of all, the studios, the company's too big, right? I mean, I think they have more money than, or more employees than like Sony's first party
yeah.
studios. Like that's a ton of people. It's If you're paying that many people, man, this company's too big for what they
Well,
offer, right? That's
so
my
I
point,
I,
I guess.
I think the thing is because I was listening to Get Played, and they was talking about like some of the Fortnite skins of now like
Hmm.
haven't been hitting, so it feels like it hasn't been selling big. Uh, there's not enough customers buying Fortnite points, like the gift card stuff.
Hmm. Well, that's the other
There's
thing. The
not.
V Bucks are going up in price too in the fall, like the cost
Oh
of V
wow,
Bucks. Where like
V-Bucks.
1,000, I think, is like 850, and I think they're going up to $10 or something.
So I know those cards were available at a lot of stores, but parents are not buying it. A lot of kids are not getting it and everything. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're asking for Roblox cards still, but Fortnite is not doing those kind of V-Buck sales like they were in the
Mm-hmm.
past. So I think
Yeah.
that's also kind of hurting them. Unreal Engine 5 is just, in a sense, it's now rolling that a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are using it for next gen games. But
Yeah.
if
But those games aren't
but
coming out, so they're not getting paid, you know?
that is true, and it just feels like now that if Unreal 5 game doesn't really do well, in a sense, they're gonna have to restructure that company and stuff, because it's just kind of been like happening for a lot of places that who have been doing next gen stuff and who has used that engine and stuff. It feels
Mm-hmm.
just like it didn't sell well, so we got to restructure. Well, we got to
Mm-hmm.
kick 45% off and do this, and it kind of feels like with Epic. I seen one person on X just say, um, Tim Sweeney got all of this money, and yet he made a decision to cut all of these people, and but yet continue to hire people. And some people were just like, well, you do realize that they are going to hire some people, but they're hiring them at a lower rate of
Mm-hmm.
pay
And
than the person who they let go.
it's only critical roles like game development, and like everybody that they laid off, I think were like, not everybody, but what I've seen is like a lot of them are like marketing people, and like,
Mm-hmm.
which is areas they said they're cutting down on, and say what you will about Fall Guys, but Mediatonic's been in trouble for a long time, like getting content out for Fall Guys, and people aren't. I haven't heard a lot of buzz around Fall Guys in a while. Psionics, like Rocket League's still pretty big, right? I don't think that studio was really affected by a lot. If they were, it was very minimal.
No, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Rocket League has kind of like been low key, not really mentioned. Uh, Fall
well,
Guys
you got to
had
think too, though. Like Rocket League and Fortnite are 6 and 7 years old at this point. Like
yes,
the the Rocket League came out in the middle of the PS4 Xbox One life cycle. Like
mm-hmm.
it's these are old games, and people are looking for the next big thing now, right? It's
Yes,
I mean, Apex Legends is having the same issue right now where they're just losing players because people are becoming disinterested, and it's like, well, I get it. It's 7 years old. When was the last time you played a game for 7 years? I mean, besides Destiny, for me, it's like, no. I might go back to a game to replay it once in a while, but like,
right.
it's not. Man, I don't know, man. Like, these games are just
And
getting older. They're not going to
and I
last
know,
forever.
I think when Xbox was doing their Japan showing, they had some new character for Fall Guys. I think was
Nope,
that
it was
animal game,
party animals.
Party
The
Animals.
Ori skins are coming to party animals.
Okay,
So Ed's
yeah.
taking a
So
sippy sip.
yeah. So I just think I I I will say I never thought this would happen at Epic because of the popularity of Unreal Engine and
Mm-hmm.
them making them so much money and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, it was just surprising that they announced that they were restructuring, because they're just like, really? I'm like, you guys are probably, out of the whole video game industry, you guys are probably the most profitable company ever because of your engine.
Mm-hmm.
Like profitable in a way that you guys probably have to be the richest company in not video game history, but just in video games,
Yeah.
except for Steam. I mean, I feel like Steam will probably be one, but I'm like, you guys got money, so this is strange.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I
It's
won't.
it's a weird
I
one.
should have said Steam. I should say Valve. Valve have it.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a sad situation. I hope a lot of these people go find jobs. I bet they do, because to put Fortnite on your resume and Unreal Engine, they can probably get a job at most places, right? I mean, Unreal Engine, especially by third parties, is pretty universally used from AAA companies. If you are somebody who was working on the engine, marketing
I
people, I mean, there are marketing jobs everywhere, so those people, I just hope everybody finds what they're looking for. Take some time, a couple
mhm.
months. Obviously, you're being paid for it, and your healthcare is being paid for. So, I mean, you don't have to rush into anything. But
I do wonder how much Epic got from Pikmin 4.
I mean, the probably the standard license cost. Uh, I mean, probably like a 5% rip per unit. So, because
Because
that's
that
what
game did.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, because they just announced, or did you put in the story about Pikmin 4 getting
no,
1 million for Japan? Yeah,
no.
they just sold
I
a
don't care about
million in
Japan,
Japan
Ed.
alone.
I don't care
I
about
know
Japan.
that. You should care about Japan.
I care about Japan, but not in the way that the sales are concerned.
But
Worldwide sales, Ed. Worldwide sales.
yeah. I mean, everybody's waiting for the final sales, but I just wonder, like, Pikmin 4 just hit 1 million in Japan alone. And with them
Okay.
using Unreal, I wonder how much did it get for that, because I
Well,
never
a
knew.
million. You take 5% of a million, which is what, five 50,000 $50,000.
Okay.
I don't know. Did I do the math wrong? I got it. I got to pull out the old calc.
Yeah,
Let's see.
because I never knew, like, with first party games and Epic, does it depend on what the does it depend on the engine
50,000.
that's
Yeah.
get used? Is there a different pay contract kind of
Well,
thing?
I'm sure somebody who uses Unreal all the time, like Microsoft, for example, probably has some sort of special contract with them, right? Because
Okay.
all their games are using Unreal. So I'm sure they do something unique or special with them, right? Because obviously a lot of
Yeah.
their games are going to Game Pass. They're not going to be selling, I mean, they'll sell a lot, but not as much as if Game Pass didn't exist, right? So
Right.
they probably have some sort of deal with them. I'm sure a lot of AAA companies probably have a deal with them, but if you're just licensing the game, it's a 5% rip for Epic every time. And it is what it is, I guess. But
Yeah. It's just
also we didn't
weird
even
that.
oh,
Oh,
sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Well,
Oh
I
no,
was
I
just
was
gonna
just saying.
Rawr!
I was just the reason being is because we know Nintendo uses their own priority
Priority.
priority engine, whatever it is, their own engine for games. And so to see them use Unreal for, and I don't know which version that they decided to use. I'm assuming 4. Um, Unreal to make Pikmin 4, like that's kind of like their first one. Um, it's
Yeah.
a I was just I was just saying that, oh, Nintendo stepped out and used another someone else's engine and not their
Hmm.
own. That's
Yeah.
just surprising.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't even mention, like, Team 17 had some layoffs today, and
Yeah.
I mean, Crystal Dynamics had some layoffs a couple weeks ago. I don't remember if we talked about it or not, but, like, I mean, the game industry I mean, when your studio is built on one game and you're hoping it's not going to fail, it's
Hmm.
a problem, and that's the conversation in all of games right now. Which, we'll talk about that on another show, maybe an expansion pass or something. But, like, I mean, you have one game and it doesn't sell your projected numbers, your studio could potentially close. Like, Immortals of Avium is the perfect example, right?
Yeah.
Um, that game looks really cool, and I do want to buy that game at some point. That game looks awesome, but it's sold like, the rumor is something under 200,000 copies, and that was a AAA Unreal 5 experience. So that game cost a lot of money to make,
Yeah.
and they got that deal with EA, right? Like, they did the EA originals to get some extra push, but, like, they laid off 49% of their studio.
Yeah.
because the game didn't sell what they wanted it to. And I'm sure if they didn't have the EA deal and the EA money, the studio probably would have closed.
Oh yeah.
And that's
It
that's hmm. These studios
this
need to
is
stop thinking they can have 200 and 300 million dollar budgets and focus on that's why Nintendo is so like financial. Like, we make fun of them sometimes because like their games don't look like other games, or they don't have voice acting or cutscenes or whatever, but like Nintendo is the master of penny pinching and efficiency,
right.
and like their budgets are probably at least a quarter of the cost of something of like, you know, God of War or Horizon or Halo or something, right? Probably less than that. But they go out there and they make the game. I mean, Nintendo's always been about, gameplay first, you know, always under, since the GameCube under, technologically inferior. But the games are fun. The games are fun.
Yeah.
And you
And
saw that with the Wii. You see that with the Switch now. Like, we talk about how like the next generation is going to be something within the PS4 Pro range of power,
yeah.
and like I would love to see a Zelda that looks like Horizon, right? But we're never going to get that because of Nintendo's efficiency and how they view games, and which is whatever. You have the other consoles that will take care of that, but
Which is why I find the irony in EA in the past saying that no, Nintendo doesn't market EA games. I'm like, well, EA, you don't market other people's games. Like, Immortals could have been a bigger hit if you marketed that game in a sense. And I understand you did
I
do
think
some marketing before it came out, but it's just like you're not making that game still visible to remind people that hey, we got a great game that you guys missed out.
mhm.
Come check it out. It's the look. You can say anything and everything about Nintendo. 2 years after Yoshi's Crafted World came out, they still was marketing that game. They even just like Happy
Dude,
Yoshi
I
Day
just
or
saw a
something like
commercial.
that.
I just saw a commercial for Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart, and something else like New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. I think it was like a Mario commercial or something. I'm like, these games are like, some of them are 10 years old. Like, what are you
and
doing?
Nintendo's marketing to let people know, hey, we got some great experiences that if you missed it, you could get caught on only on Nintendo Switch. I was looking at Wild Hearts that EA released, that Monster Hunter clone, and I'm just like, that game, it came and went. I'm like, where's the marketing at and stuff?
Yeah, it's nuts. But we'll we that should be an expansion pass topic for sure. But we're gonna move on to the next story. I feel like we spent enough
Yes,
time on sad news.
yes,
But here's a weird news, Ed. A rare Nintendo 64 controller sold off at an auction for £1,000, which I don't know. European money is like Monopoly money. It's not real. A rare Nintendo 64 Fox Data Chrome Leopard controller was valued at about £1,000 by an auction house after a Manchester man unearthed it from his loft. I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of this thing, but it's like a weird pattern Nintendo 64 controller. It's real shiny. The Fox Data set of designs included Desert Storm, Red Rain, Purple Forest, and Chrome Leopard. So this one was like a silver or chrome color with like gold and black spots all over it. Uh, Released in the late 90s, Liam Clousdale received the special controller for his 14th birthday, and it remained in storage for nearly 30 years. Uh, the ads for it appeared in the official Nintendo magazine, the Nintendo 64 magazine, as it was known back then, said Clousdale in an interview with Manchester Evening News. At that time, you picked stuff out of the advertisements in the back of the pages. I remember those days. All my friends used to go to each other's houses to play, and to avoid confusion, everyone liked to have their own unique pad. So yeah, and then in order to make sure that he and his friends weren't picking up the wrong controller, he used the Chrome Leopard controller and loved having the craziest looking pad. So if you guys haven't seen this, it's pretty cool looking. I think you guys should check this out. It's super cool.
It definitely must be a Europe thing. I've
Mhm.
never seen or heard of it.
Yeah, I never did either, and I looked it up, and it was definitely a European thing. Kind of like the orange GameCube that never came over here. So
Sadness.
yeah, super cool though. Um, Shiny.
I wish
Um,
I wouldn't lie. I wish I had the Panasonic Q. I wish that did come out.
the silver one with the DVD player in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was neat. Oh boy, you have anything else to say about this controller, Ed? I just thought it was a fun story that
Yeah.
we could talk about.
Nah, it looks cool, but yeah.
Fine. Next story. Another weird, sad story, kind of, but more angry than sad. Disgruntled Switch fans file class action lawsuit over the KOTOR II DLC cancellation from Aspire. This article is from Nintendo Life. So earlier this year in June, developer Aspire announced that it would no longer be releasing the Sith Lords DLC for the Nintendo Switch version of Knights of the Old Republic 2. Instead of refunds, it offered a free Star Wars game. In response to this, a group of Star Wars loving Switch fans in the US have band together to launch a class action lawsuit against Aspire and the game's publisher Saber Interactive. The case Malachi Michalonis versus Aspire Media Inc. Was filed in July, requesting a jury trial with defendants required to respond by October 4th. Here's a summary of the what do you call it? The filing.
Yeah.
In 2022, defendants Aspire and Saber advertised KOTOR to users of the video console Nintendo Switch. Man, court people need to learn video games at some point. Having never before released restored content DLC. Ellipsis. Plaintiff and numerous other consumers were excited about the news and the new content that defendants claim was, quote, coming soon. In fact, KOTOR sat at the top of the Nintendo eShop rankings. First of all, KOTOR 2 is the game, not the original. I want to make that clear that this filing is wrong. Ellipsis. Quote, plaintiff felt completely duped. Plaintiff did not even play KOTOR after purchasing it, instead choosing to wait until restored content DLC was released. Ellipsis. I think most of us were waiting for that to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Defendants did not provide the restored content DLC, but refuses to give consumers a refund for their purchase of KOTOR. Should be KOTOR 2 again.
Yes.
Although Aspire didn't. This is after the filing quote. This is the rest of the story. Although Aspire didn't offer refunds, the free complimentary video game key allowed users to redeem a copy of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 on the PC platform. Other Star Wars games on offer included a code for the first KOTOR on Nintendo Switch and titles like Jedi Knight and Jedi Knight 2. Aspire is the same developer behind the recently announced collection of Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered, which will be launching on the Switch in February. Bad news for Aspire, it seems. They just seem to be like really should just crawl in the hole because like the Knights of the Republic remake, I don't know if you saw, but Sony and PlayStation hid the YouTube video, the trailer from their YouTube channels.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer on the Disney YouTube channel or the Star Wars YouTube channel either. It seems like that project is all but dead. I know Saber Interactive took over the development of it, but I don't know if they're going to continue it or whatnot, or if they're just going in a completely different direction. But Ed, how do you feel about this? I was really excited. I really love KOTOR 2. It's a really interesting game that just wasn't finished because Obsidian had something like less than a year to make it after KOTOR came out, and the ending of the game, like the whole third act of the game. Which was supposed to be this restored DLC. The third act of the game is literally a scrolling wall of text that you have to read. The game ends at the end of the second act. So, I don't know. How do you feel about this, Ed?
I think they should be sued because you promised some content and now you're back to leaving the game still unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
People gave you money, paid for your product, kept it at number one,
Hmm.
for you to have enough money to make this DLC.
Yeah.
And it's unfair. It's unfair to them that they invested it. They invest and trusted your word, saying that you was going to deliver this DLC, even if it was just 3 hours of DLC. I would
Hmm.
have been cool with it. Now, I have my opinions about KOTOR, um, from the Xbox days, so I can't really say too much about that. But
I
I
loved
I
them when
feel like they.
they came out, but I doubt they hold up, right? I mean, I haven't played it since I
Mhm.
beat it on the original Xbox, right? So it's not like I played it yesterday and was like, KOTOR's awesome, you know. But at the time, you know,
I feel like they they should have delivered this. I don't know if the Tomb Raider one to three remaster played a part in it or anything, or that
I
was
doubt it.
way in development. But I feel like they owe them not just be like, oh, we're gonna give you a free game, a free key to a game because of DLC. No, you refund people this money or part of their money
Hmm.
for it, or even see it, or do something, but not give them a game. Do something financial to them, or you tell them we're going to be working on it. It's on hiatus or whatever, but we are going to work on this
Hmm.
and everything. There should have been a better response to this, because now y'all just playing with our. Not only are you playing with our money, you're playing with our hopes about actually playing this, seeing this game gonna be completed. Now you're really hurting your business, because as much as people are looking forward to Tomb Raider 1 to 3, because of this DLC that y'all didn't promise, now your game business becomes very iffy and
Yeah.
everything. Do I
Yeah.
do I even trust you now to, regardless if it's a remaster or original IP, do I even trust to invest in your company? Because you're not going to, because I feel like out of fear, you're not going to deliver and everything.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I'm not like rich by any stretch of the imagination, but like I was comfortable paying $20 for this and like, you know, messing around with it and whatever, but I was expecting that DLC too, right? But like
Mm-hmm.
to me like okay, that was what 2 years ago. I've moved on, you know, whatever, right? I spent that money. I can live without it. Yeah, it sucks, but like, you know, whatever. But there's some people who like, you know, live paycheck to paycheck and don't save money and bought this because it was something that they loved and it's relatively cheap. And then like there's new content for this thing that I loved growing up. That's awesome. I'm going to spend $20 on it because that's a great deal. Right. And so, you know, those that you're hurting those people a lot more, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
it sucks. It really sucks for people who were really expecting this content.
As Expire needs to look at Konami and Kojima. And everybody who know me know where I'm about to go with this. Snatcher on Sega CD. The reason why I bring that up, because Snatcher didn't have an Act 3 on PC Engine and other previous. When Kojima did Snatcher on other consoles and other hardware, he only did 2 acts. He never finished the game till it came to Sega CD. When it
Mhm.
came to Sega CD, he finished it with the third act and gave an ending.
Mhm.
So if Expire was gonna go that route and stuff, you had a lot of time. Even if it was going to be new content that they was able to create, you could should have already made this and made this part of the game and
Mhm.
everything. Yes, you could remaster
Yeah.
everything else, that's fine, but you should have added this third content. And like I said, it could have been 2 or 3 hours. Invest some more money, because if you said this is the complete package that everybody's going to get, and even though they may have to charge more, people would have paid that money to get that final completion. Don't, and also Aspire, if you were going to put in the third act to this game to complete it, don't do no nonsense of cliffhangers. Give them a final resolution to this game, and people would have paid the money and be like, yes, I enjoyed everything they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um. Oh, excuse me. I you know, like you said, they should have completed the DLC before they released this game, right? It's just
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's rough. I hope the gamers win. Not that like I like Saber, they do a great job porting and stuff, and I know it's not really Saber's fault, but like I don't know, Aspire just needs to like own up to this and fix it. They need to fix it.
Yes. Yes. Agreed.
All right, Ed. We have one story in the rumor mill, and we have two stories from the other side that I really want to dive into, and then we'll get into Pack Watch and our questions from the audience.
Yes.
So this rumor mill comes from The Verge, from Tom Warren over at The Verge. Nintendo Switch 2 evidence grows with rumors of developer demos. So if you want to go through this, you can kind of read the whole thing, but let's see here. Where am I gonna? Oh, so like obviously they showed the demos off at Gamescom Gamescom,
Yeah.
right? And this article kind of goes into they more detail. They showed the Matrix Unreal Engine 5 demo, which this thing. So to put this power into perspective, right? So theoretically, this thing has more power than the Series S, right? Because the Xbox One X is more powerful than the Series S on a technical level.
Yes.
Um, the Series S has other insides that make it load. Obviously, the SSD makes things load faster and has the memory to make it run similarly to the Series X, but ultimately this Xbox One X is more powerful than the
Mm-hmm.
Series S. So the Unreal Engine 5 demo of the Matrix demo, which I don't know if you looked at it or not, Ed, but that was a pretty impressive demo from a world standpoint. The character models weren't very, the player character didn't look very great, but Keanu
Right.
Reeves looked great. Carrie Ann Moss looked great. The enemies looked pretty good. Like it was a pretty cool demo. They also had Zelda running at 60 frames a second. Breath of the Wild running at 4K 60 frames a second, which is really cool. And so other companies are starting to see these demos and prototyping for the Switch. This is a rumor, by the way. It's just a rumor. But what do you think that we're finally getting
So,
games?
allegedly.
Yeah. Finally, allegedly getting, other developers developing games for the next console. Like, that's exciting to hear. So exciting to hear.
I mean, we did a expansion pass on what we would love to see for the Switch launch lineup
Yes.
and Switch 2 launch lineup. And we both agree in the previous Pow Block episode is that definitely Square Enix has a development kit. We'll probably
Oh, yeah.
see Final Fantasy VII remake and rebirth and whatever. Like we're gonna see some big stuff from Square Enix because Switch has provided a lot of profitability to Square Enix this year. If you don't think they did, go check out some of their stats of games that came to Switch and that was just making them money.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
say same with Ubisoft and
you got the pixel remasters and Octopath Traveler 2
mm-hmm,
alone, right? And then all the weird random titled games like Various Day Life last year, and all the fonts that are used like Bravely Default 2, and remember the font
yeah.
games. Deerfield Chronicles, I think, was one of them.
And it's funny because speaking of Octopath Traveler 2, a lot of people is about to jump into that game. So that's probably about to raise them some more money. Octopath Traveler 2 is an amazing game. Definitely need to be in everybody's Switch library. Music phenomenal. And so if anyone who has a Switch 2 development kit will be Square Enix. With this story though, with it being an alleged, I'm not. I kind of feel like Nintendo. This is still something Nintendo wouldn't do and
Yeah.
everything. Um, because they don't want to give you an idea. Well, theoretically, this is what our system could provide, but it may not be the actual thing. Because trust me, Nintendo want to keep their stuff a secret. Yeah, they want third party stuff to be on it, but it's gonna be like the bigger question is gonna be like, and Devin kind of, well, not Devin, but it's gonna one of our questions when we get to kind of feels like, will that magic that happened in 2017 happen with Switch 2? And that magic is, our game's gonna be hitting over 1 million plus. Our game's gonna be selling like crazy physically on a Nintendo platform. We
Yeah.
would give that answer when we get to it and everything. But I still feel like, even though this is a rumor and it's very alleged, it still feels like something Nintendo wouldn't do. Yes, this is a new Nintendo. I completely understand that. But I know Nintendo still wants stuff to be secret. And that
Yeah.
even includes their hardware. You
Mm-hmm.
know. So from Wii to Wii U, and probably a little bit of the GameCube, and Switch, we had theories of what could be until Nintendo actually say something. Still to this very day, when Switch 2 gets ready to be announced and what everybody think the system is, look at all the fan art that's going to drop.
Mm-hmm.
If people find out what the specs is, because guess what? Once the chip manufacturers who are making the Switch 2 get their contracts and their NDAs, and if anything get leaked from them, you already know folks are going to be talking hypothetically.
I mean,
Everybody's going to be
that's all
looking at,
anybody's going to talk about.
right. Everybody's going to be looking at digital foundry to be like, okay, y'all know the specs. Make a little computer who could do these specs and see
Mm-hmm.
what game could run of it. Because if that gives us an idea of what Switch 2 could be,
Mm-hmm.
oh, for the next 2.5 months or whatever that system come out, that's going to be the talk of the town. And then it's going to be like, okay, what games do we really want to see on?
Yeah.
Us at Pow Block, we're going to talk about it because it's news and it's interesting, and we could bring a lot of ideas to the topic. But once that stuff gets leaked out and everything,
Mm-hmm.
or if and it's true, that's when I'm gonna be like, okay, I see where they want to go with this.
Yeah. I think with that much power and that much, I think with that much power, that this opens up a new wave of possibilities for Nintendo specifically. I mean, I know Nintendo kind of uses power as a restriction to be more creative, but like,
Mm-hmm.
you can also use the power to be more creative, right? I mean, creativity and graphical powerhouse are two different things, right? Nintendo's proven that for years. I think, though, what you could do is enhance your creativity with this power. And Nintendo is the king of creativity and innovation. And I think you can use the extra power in this platform for that creativity. I mean, they've clearly mastered it, but like, now I want to see Zelda in 4K running at 60 frames a second. Of course I do. But I also want to see what they can do with the power. Like, Mario Kart, could you extend it from 8 players to, or 12 players to like 20 players? Would that be interesting? Or can you have more things happen, more obstacles in a Mario Kart race? Could you have, actually have like, I know they tried it in Tears of the Kingdom with like the companion
Mm-hmm.
system, but can you actually have companions travel with you the entire time instead of like turning into these little glowing balls and only coming out when you need them, right? Like, can you do that?
And I think Nintendo could easily do that. The bigger question is going to be Nintendo, why are you still choosing these graphical styles to put into your game? When are you going to give us the updated Xbox, PS,
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation? When are you
Yes.
going to give us that? And that's going to be more of the thing than doing all the functionality. Nintendo could
Yeah.
easily do the functionality,
Yeah.
hopefully. Um, but is it going to be a graphical powerhouse? Because it's going to be like, why Nintendo got all of this power, got all of these chips, and they still giving us cell shade. They're still
Yeah.
giving us Woody World stuff. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to be the question from a lot of, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going to say, hardcore
Mm-hmm.
players and everything. And it's going to be like, well, maybe Nintendo is still not trying to lose 45% of their employees. They're
Yeah.
not trying to close a studio down because Unreal Engine 5 300 million budget game came out and it didn't sell only but 10,000 copies. Like,
Yeah.
they're not trying to do that. Yes, would you love a $300 million Metroid Prime game? You probably would. But is Nintendo going to do that? No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing is, though, like, again, yes, they have all this power and they could do something like that, but I don't need like some sort of like realistic, weird looking Mario, right? Like, I want Mario to be Mario. I think you have to
Mm-hmm.
be smart about which franchises you do that with, right? Like, obviously, Kirby is like a round ball. You don't need to see any like wrinkles or ripples on his pink round body.
No
Gross.
fur.
Yeah. Or like, but like you could definitely do something more graphically intensive with stuff like Metroid or
Right.
Zelda. Maybe if you want to bring F-Zero back, you could do something really interesting with that. Or, um, I think there are interest. They have to be wise about choosing and which they always have been. But like,
Mm-hmm.
if you give me this PS4 Pro powered console and you give me Wind Waker graphics as the first Zelda game, like I'm gonna roll my eyes a little bit. Even though like
You
I
gotta
love
roll
Wind
your.
Waker, I love that art style. I would love like Wind Waker HD at some point, but like,
You can
ugh,
roll your eyes, but once again, that creativity, that not in well, a little bit innovation, those memories. If that game hits so many other parts of it, that graphical style would not matter. Trust me.
I'm aware, but
There's
you were just I was piggybacking off
oh
what you were saying at first, right? Like the
okay.
hardcore, like the quote unquote hardcore, right? Like if you start spilling the specs out about the Switch and everybody's excited about it, and the first thing they show is like a Wind Waker style Zelda, everybody's gonna roll their eyes again. Not that they don't like Wind Waker, like I don't think that's the issue. It's just like Nintendo finally has a powerful console, and this is what you're giving us. Like you might as well just put a GameCube and a handheld at this point,
Well,
Like
the thing about it is just like it would be the equation of this. If you rolled your eyes at a powerful Wind Waker style new Zelda game, but you jumped overjoyed by seeing the looks of Link's Awakening, people are going to start questioning that
yeah.
and
Well,
everything.
again, I would roll my eyes, but I would still play it. It's Zelda, right? Like
Who cares? Yeah.
I like that art style. I'm just saying, like, dude, you showed that Zelda teaser trailer on the Wii U, and like
Mhm.
everybody's been wanting that ever since, and you're still not giving it to us. Come on, come on, guys, come on.
Right, and I think the new team artists, if for Zelda, I know they want to go somewhere with this,
Mhm,
and I'm just and the imagination, the possibilities, their artistry of what they do is going to hype us and
mhm,
everything. Because yes, they are planning a new Zelda game. They're probably still taking a break, tweaking stuff, whatever, or working on a story. But it's whatever story they go, they're gonna be like, okay, what art style are we going to do for this? Where
mhm,
what are we going to fit? Because to me, if you want to show a power of a new Nintendo system, I need to see how Xenoblade is running.
mhm. That's
Because
another
if
one
you
you could
got
do
a
some interesting things with.
that is the powerhouse game that I want to see Switch do. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, if a Xenoblade 4 or whatever game, even their new IP, if Monolith Soft is going in, they're
Mhm,
going in. They're going to be the oppressive one. Metro Prime 4 or even 5 or whatever. Like, if Retro still got all of those people from all those other game companies, it's going to be like, okay, this is not a cutscene. This is real gameplay. This is actual what's going to be on the disc or digital game.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop my jaw.
Yeah. The other thing too, though, is like I actually think Nintendo is going to be Nintendo with this console, and it's going to be more powerful
Mm-hmm.
to draw third parties in. That's
Oh yeah.
and like you see what's happening with the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, and Lenovo's new thing comes out next week, I think. Like these handheld PC markets are going to start gobbling up the Nintendo sales because you can run emulators on them. You can, it's a handheld PC. You can do anything on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Nintendo has to be more powerful to draw third parties in and to compete with the handheld PC market now, is in my opinion. And like a story we're going to talk about in a minute, like Apple is releasing Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 on iPhone, like the full game, not compromised for the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. Like they got to start looking at Apple as a competitor now, which yeah, okay, tablets were sort of a competitor, right? At the whatever, but like Switch was always a step ahead because they had the controllers, you could plug it into your TV. Well, now everybody's caught up again, right? And
The
you
thing,
just have to hope that they don't fall into a Wii U situation, which I don't think they're ever going to fall into that type of situation again. I think they are very aware of that situation and want to avoid it at all costs. Um, but
I think
that's still something they have to think about when they make their new console. And I mean, yes, they have to
which
stick with this hybrid. And the last thing before you go, Ed,
oh,
Nintendo, as long as Nintendo is powerful enough and they can gauge the audience, I still think it's going to launch with Mario Kart 9 at some point.
mhm.
Within the first 6 months, Mario Kart 9 will be out. But um, the one thing that these handheld PC games don't handheld PCs or whatever you want to call them don't have is Nintendo's strong IP. And you can run emulators, I guess, or whatever. And I think that's the big thing with this console too, is that the security is going to be extra strong because the Switch has been jailbroken for 4 or 5
Oh
years at
yeah.
this point. Laurent, see you. But I think this new console is about security. It's about, running the momentum off of the Switch, and it's about creative new ways to use their IP.
Right. Nintendo only feels like the only way that's going to make them feel very competitive is if their physical sales get uh not get involved, get affected. Because
That's the other thing.
if their physical sales are not getting affected, oh, Nintendo wouldn't care about anything of that.
Mhm.
Oh, Resident Evil is doing coming to iPhone. Great. Can it do 10 million sales like Breath of the like Tears of the Kingdom in 3 days? I don't think so.
Well,
Even though that is a first right, even though that's
well,
digital and everything. If that digital number cannot hit like
mhm.
Nintendo's first party physical stuff, Nintendo's not even worried about that. They got their coin.
Yeah. Well, I think Apple is competing more with Xbox and PlayStation. It's going to be. I mean, the iPhone. I don't know if you looked at the specs of the iPhone Pro Max, but it's pretty powerful. Like it's probably just as powerful,
Uh-uh.
if not more powerful than the
I can
Series S.
I can honestly tell you, I didn't even know that phone was out like that quick. I'm like,
It
didn't they just have a conference to
yeah,
announce this? And
iPhones
didn't it
are
just drop like that?
iPhones are always out within a month of them announcing it. Um,
It's just, yeah, because my one of my associates, she just got her iPhone 15. She had upgraded, and I'm like, oh,
mhm.
okay.
Yeah, I wonder how. I mean, anyway, that's a conversation for later. But yeah, I mean, I hope, Nintendo. I hope. My last opinion on this is I don't think this new device is going to sell as well as the Switch did out of the gate
Mm-hmm.
because people own Switch, right? And because when the Switch came out, nobody owned a Wii U, and people were ready to be excited about Nintendo. And Breath of the Wild showed that, and Octopath Traveler, and some of the other games that were coming out around the time. So that's my last thought on that. All right, Ed, you want to get into the other side?
Yes.
All right. Ed's muting himself. He's on the phone. Uh, Jim Ryan, CEO of SIE, is Sony's CEO, PlayStation CEO, is retiring in March of 2024. So let me get this article open from The Verge while Ed's on the phone. Jim Ryan, the head of PlayStation and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, is stepping down. In a press release on Wednesday, Sony announced that Ryan will retire in March of 2024, while Sony Group Corporation President and Chief Operating Officer Hiroki Totoki will take over as the interim CEO role on April 1st. Jim Ryan has a quote here. After 30 years, I have made the decision to retire from SIE in March 2024. I've relished the opportunity to have a job I love in a very special company, working with great people and incredible partners. Quote, but I've found it increasingly difficult to reconcile living in Europe and working in North America. I will leave having been privileged to work on products that have touched millions of lives across the world. PlayStation will always be a part of my life, and I feel more optimistic than ever about the future of SIE. Ryan has worked at Sony for 28 years, starting his career in the European branch in 1994, where he's held several leadership positions. So, Ed,
Yes.
Jim Ryan is retiring. I don't really care that he's retiring. I care about if PlayStation's direction will change after he retires. I know you had your headphones off, but the let's see. Sony Group Corporation President and Chief Operating Officer Hiroki Totoki will be taking over as interim CEO starting April 1st. So, I mean, first of all, how do you feel about him retiring, and do you think PlayStation's roadmap will change at all within the next couple years?
So this is going to be a difficult one. I think Jim Ryan was making PlayStation look really bad. Just the decisions that was being making, the way there was just some kind of attitude, some personality or characteristics that wasn't gelling well with it. And I think it's because of older leadership really made the PlayStation look good in their eyes and really made a connection with that community. And for some reason, Jim Ryan kind of burned all of that. It may have been the way that the messaging went, definitely with the way that he was acting during the Activision acquisition with Microsoft and everything, and just it just the $70 price point and all of that, it just really came off in a negative manner and everything. And I understand why he didn't want the acquisition to happen, because he thought it would hurt his business. But then, because even when we talked about it, I'm like, that means that you're placing one game above all your first party studios who have made your company millions, who have sold millions. And you, in my eyes, you making them feel less because you don't think they could sell your systems compared to this one third party game. And so the way that he just did not gel with a lot of people, with him leaving or retiring from PlayStation, a lot of people are really happy about this. They're excited to see now who this new person is and what direction they go. Because now they feel like this person has a possibility of getting PlayStation 5 back on track, getting PlayStation in a position where people care about PlayStation and the decisions
Well,
that they
they've
make.
sold 43 million PlayStation 5s in 2 years. I think PlayStation's doing pretty well, Ed. I think people care about
Well,
PlayStation quite a lot.
well, yes, but they kind of thought that some people feel like this should have been the Shaw Layden stuff PlayStation 4 era, where it was selling like crazy. It was the hotcake thing.
It's
And
outselling PS4 like by a significant margin
Well,
at
yeah.
this
I
point.
mean, for 2 years, the system was hard to get, so people are now really
Well,
catching up. And I'm not knocking PlayStation. I'm glad that people are getting the system and enjoying it and everything. But people probably feel like it could have even been a higher number if Jim Ryan wasn't connected to the PlayStation 5.
yeah, I mean, I think Jim Ryan's done some good things. I think he's done some questionable things, and I think he's taken PlayStation in a direction that PlayStation isn't known for. And I know you have to take the risk, right? To okay, games as a service are hot right now, so let's get some studios in
Mm-hmm.
here that specialize in that, right? Like he purchased Bungie, which was I think was a great pickup. I think the acquisitions that PlayStation has made are useful and much needed, right? Like if they want to put their games on PC, they bought Nixus, who's a PC specializes in PC porting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we acquired Insomniac, who's been making games for us for a long time, right? And we should bring them in house so they can't work with anybody else again, right? Smart move. Spider-Man is PlayStation 4's best-selling game. The sequel is about to come out. It's going to be probably PlayStation 5's best-selling game at the end of the day. Uh, I think the missteps like investing in PlayStation VR 2, that technology. I think, some of the other missteps was actually like having 12 games as a service in development. I think that's kind of a misstep. I think Sony should, my opinion, Sony should stick to what they're good at, and that is single player narrative driven games, right? Sure,
Mm-hmm.
you can have that one, like, the games as a service, right? Like, we were talking about this on the Boss Rush podcast last week, I think. Ghost of Tsushima, or maybe it was another podcast, I don't remember. Ghost of Tsushima came out, story driven, single player game. They added Legends, which was a game as a service, and people liked it, right? But it wasn't advertised as that, right? And so, you still got your game as a service and your single player game. And I think that was a smart choice. I think The Last of Us Factions, when it was added to The Last of Us, was a smart choice. I think if you do Factions again, you add it to The Last of Us Part 3, which is in development. I think it's the worst kept secret at this point, because the show's so successful. The first two games are successful. Not a doubt, right? I don't think you need to
Mm-hmm.
acquire or force studios to uh, create these things that you don't even know will work, right? Like Fair Games looks generic, I think, and obviously it was just a tone trailer. Concord, we have no idea what that is.
Right.
Helldivers looks cool, and it's only $40, so I mean that's a great price for that game. I actually really like the first Helldivers.
Yeah.
I know we used to podcast with people who were obsessed with Helldivers for a while. I think that's a good move. Coming out in the when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and the final shape of Destiny is coming out, probably not the best release date, but you know. So I think they've done some good things. I think Jim Ryan was just like, he's not very personable. Not that, and obviously Phil Spencer plays games and he's such a personable guy and people love him, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily have to play games to be a good CEO or a front
So,
facing Hold on, let me finish. Finish.
okay.
I just kind of feel like Jim Ryan didn't fit the front facing voice of PlayStation. Obviously Jack Tretton and Sean Layden, for those who don't know, former CEOs of PlayStation, were much better at that, right? Sean Layden was an awesome face for PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Shuhei Yoshida was an awesome face for PlayStation, even
Well,
though he was.
yeah.
I mean, even though he wasn't CEO, right? He was head of first party at some point. Like awesome face for Jack Tretton was such a he was such a mouthpiece, man. He was a great CEO. Turned the PlayStation 3 around, and then Sean Layden took
He had.
over and made the PlayStation 4 what it is. And he was an awesome CEO. Jim Ryan's just kind of, I don't want to say unlikable, but like he's kind of boring. And granted, PlayStation 5 is doing amazingly well selling, but I think they're investing too much in new projects and not putting enough new projects out, right? I mean, think of the
Yeah,
PlayStation 5 only games, right, that we've gotten. Not, I mean, God of War, PlayStation 4 game, Horizon, PlayStation 4 game, right? We had Ratchet and Clank, we had Demon Souls remake,
Returnal.
Returnal, Spider-Man 2. I mean, Gran Turismo 7 is a PS4 game technically. Um, I don't really know what other PlayStation 5 exclusives. I mean, I haven't really been keeping up with PlayStation, but like,
Right.
what are the other exclusives for the platform? You know, so
Besides PSVR 2, but
I don't count that.
the, the,
I'm talking about the
the
machines
thing
they actually buy, Ed.
the thing, so you mentioned Phil Spencer, and I think the thing about Phil Spencer is, even if we take out him playing games, he owns up to the mistakes that some of his studios make. He'll own up to it. He'll go up on a podcast and talk about it and say that we're sorry that you down. He owns up to that.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Ryan won't own up to anything and stuff.
I
Like
mean, to be fair, he doesn't really have
he
anything to own up to except for the poor sales of PSVR.
But the thing, well, the all that stuff that he was saying about the acquisition, and then when you see the testimonies and you hear the stuff from the FCC trial, you'd be like, "Oh, you were saying one thing, but you actually were meaning another thing." So it just feels like at least Phil Spencer owns up to stuff that didn't play out the way that it should have played out and everything. Okay, yeah, and yes,
Yeah, but technically,
Microsoft is.
Xbox hasn't put any games out either recently. I mean,
Oh yeah,
besides Starfield,
100%.
I mean, if they didn't have Bethesda, they would have gone 2 years without any major release besides Forza, right? The last
Oh
major
yeah,
release was Halo. Halo Infinite was the last major Microsoft release. And granted, I really like Halo Infinite. I'm a Halo Infinite defender. I
that is true.
I think Forza's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but when you go a whole year
Right,
without releasing a first party game, right? And except for like Grounded and Pentiment, right? Like also great games, but not your AAA tent poles. Like when you're not releasing tentpole games, you know, I question
and
Microsoft's management sometimes. I think they're
it's
great, but
and it's hard. My thing is this: you cannot say nothing about the Nintendo Switch that give you almost 5 to 7 exclusive games on that platform per year. So you cannot say that, well, Nintendo don't have games and all. No, they deliver where these other companies were supposed to be delivering.
mhm.
Their stuff got so Microsoft and Sony stuff got so pushed back. This is ridiculous. Why it got to the point where everybody just felt like, why am I owning this system to play backward compatible games? That yeah, it looks spiffy, but it's still I paid money to play the next gen stuff. The all the marketing stuff that y'all said. I paid this money to play it. Why am I not getting it? Why is your competitor, non-competitor, Nintendo, outdoing you guys with older tech? And as much as um Jim Ryan wants to rag on Nintendo and everything, Nintendo were supplying games. Instead of you focusing on trying to start by acquisition and doing all of this crazy mess, you should have been focusing on building a stronger first party library for your PlayStation 5. And people did not feel that.
Well, that I
That
mean
you
this
were
this this goes back to like the budgets though, right? Like
mm-hmm,
that goes back to the budgets of games are 250 to 300 million dollars to make, right? And that's not including marketing. And Sean Layden warned us about this when he left Sony, right? He said, what was the game he talked about? Vib Ribbon, right? Remember Vib Ribbon?
yeah,
He's like, you know, he's like, it's one of my favorite games, and Vib Ribbon's never going to sell 1 million copies, but we don't need it to because we are passionate about the creativity and the fun of the games. And like that, when he was around, we saw games like, he pushed out the last, not him specifically, but he made sure like the Last Guardian came out, and
Yeah.
Stuff like the Medieval, and the Ratchet and Clank games that were like the smaller budget titles, and Concrete Genie, and uh there are so many smaller titles in the PlayStation 4 era. Resogun was a great game, right? uh
Yes. Yeah.
and I think the
Resogun
difference
became the
is,
leading launch game of the PlayStation
yeah,
4.
yeah, and I think the difference now is like games cost so much and take such a long time. And when we were talking about Nintendo and how they'll utilize technology, like, I mean, Zelda already took 6 years, right? I mean, what are they going to? I mean, is
Right.
the next Zelda game going to take 10 years if they make it look like Horizon because they're such perfectionists? I don't know, but like, that's where Nintendo's budgets are obviously way smaller because they don't have the hardware to make games that expensive, right? But they make up for it with their creativity. And that's what I think Sony did so well during the PlayStation 4 era, was like, we have The Last of Us and Uncharted and God of War, clearly, but we also have, Gravity Rush and Concrete
Mhm.
Genie and Tokyo Jungle and all these other smaller titles that were also very great games. And
Yeah.
I think that's the balance that Microsoft is getting into now. It's like we have these AAA tent poles, we have these AA games, single A games, smaller projects like Pentiment. Psychonauts obviously is a smaller project. Not that they funded the rest of that development, right? But like, you know, that's where Microsoft sees them now, and Sony's gotten really away from that. Everything has to be the $300 million big budget game. Think
And
about it. The two smallest titles they've made in the last 10 years were Miles Morales and maybe not 10 years. We'll say the last 5 or 6 years. Miles Morales and the Dark Soul or the Demon Souls remake, right?
right.
And that's because Demon Souls was actually a remake and not a brand new game. And Miles
And Blue
Morales
Point
is
is great.
is built off of an engine that already exists and a world that already exists, and it's 5 hours long.
Right. And Blue Point is great at what they do. And plus, Sony knows that if we don't sell as much on our PlayStation 5, we could put this on PC and make money for it. Why?
Yeah.
Because Days Gone is a big example. Days Gone probably did well on PlayStation 4, but it did super well on PC.
Yeah,
That
it
made the
sold like 12
PlayStation
million
community
units.
so. And if we want to talk about higher budgets with PlayStation, you already know that Naughty Dog is going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like without a shadow of a doubt, because they know that The Last of Us is going to sell. Definitely not with this TV series being a hit.
Mm-hmm.
They know that they can invest this money and it's going to sell. Microsoft, everybody was betting on Starfield to be a game, that was going to blow the world, that was going to put Microsoft at the top and all of this stuff. It did what it needed to do, but guess what's still higher and that people still actually love? Hi-Fi Rush, a game from Tango Works,
Well,
a
it
game
did not
that
do better than Starfield.
I mean, and I want to say probably rating wise, it did, but people who play Hi-Fi Rush really said that, oh, this is really a phenomenal game that deserves to be in the Game of the Year award, Game of the Year nominations. Starfield is very up in the air. It's very up in the air. It's a great game. Take it or leave it or whatever. But people still probably will say Hi-Fi Rush is probably one of Microsoft's best game that has came out this year. I don't know Forza 5 just yet until I play it, until it comes out. But you can't deny that Hi-Fi Rush is a great game that
Mm-hmm.
deserves to be talked about and
I,
everything. And that doesn't look like a high budget title, even though
yeah.
they probably did invest some money into.
What a game that they should release. Like, if Microsoft is serious about being partners with Nintendo, that's a game they should release on
Oh
Switch, is Hi-Fi
yes.
Rush. Like, I think it would do really well selling on Switch. I know like 3 million people played it on Game Pass or whatever, but I mean, how well did it really sell, But they did add that
I mean, I
arcade
bought a
that
copy.
I mean, yeah, but you don't have Game Pass. Uh So yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm of two minds of PlayStation. Like they're clearly doing really well without games, but they don't have games. The only game we know after Spider-Man is like the main game is Wolverine, and then your games as a service and their Square exclusives, right? Like what's coming? Obviously they showed Uncharted 5, 6, whatever you want to call it, in that wonky trailer, right? That they were sitting at the PlayStation 5 desk or whatever, and they showed every game was labeled except for one, and it's clearly Uncharted. It's clearly Cassie. Sorry if you haven't played Uncharted, but you should have played it by now. It's almost 10 years old. Uh, and I don't know, man.
It
I want.
right
Here's the
now.
thing. I have a PlayStation 5 and I want to play it. And granted, I still have Horizon that I haven't played, and I haven't beaten God of War. I love Horizon. I've just been busy. But other than that, I don't really have any other games that I really want to play on it until Wolverine and Uncharted.
It's literally after Spider-Man 2, it's it's Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a third party game, but that's what everybody is talking about. That is what's getting marketed on PlayStation 5. Jim Ryan is doing nothing. If I was Jim Ryan and I just acquired Bungie, I'm gonna need y'all to talk about Marathon. I'm gonna need y'all to talk about some more about Destiny. I'm gonna need you to
Yeah,
put
but
in some work.
that situation's so different though.
D- does not matter.
It
We
it
pay
it
money for all.
contractually it does
I
matter,
I
Ed.
I
Contractually
understand.
it does matter.
I understand, but we gave y'all some money for y'all to be under our banner. I'm gonna need y'all to do some kind of marketing,
They did.
like
They showed that
when,
trailer for Marathon when they clearly weren't
and
ready
that
to
was
show
it.
Marathon.
And I
Dude,
can
Marathon
understand that.
Marathon is at least 2 years away. Marathon's at least 2
I'm
years.
I'm gonna need. I definitely need y'all to do something because my thing. I think I'm speaking of as I need y'all to draw in more marathon players to the PlayStation family, not so much to the Xbox PC family, whatever. Because you guys are underneath us. I understand Destiny, completely understand. That was something that was out of our heads, but we own y'all. Y'all are under we own you guys in a certain as a way as we bought your whole business, not by your own business. We own y'all in some sort of way, without the contract stuff, So, but that's me. I'm wrong. You are the Bungie expert. You know the business stuff. I just see it from the outside looking in.
Yeah. I mean,
I would have
obviously,
loved Sony. Oh, good.
I was going to say, obviously, Bungie's going to have a PlayStation marketing budget behind them, right? But like the way that
Mm-hmm.
contract works is that Bungie will operate as an independent entity within Sony, and they're not even considered SIE. Like that's how quote unquote independent they are under Sony, right? They are part of the PlayStation family, but they are not SIE. They are not PlayStation branded, right? The only thing you're going to get out of that is like PlayStation marketing stuff, right? And that's kind of it.
Shoot, dude, what kind of acquisition do y'all have?
Because
Just
instead
say
of
I.
instead of and they make every time those games are sold on Microsoft, they get a 30% rip, and they get all the money from the microtransaction. They get 30% rip off of microtransactions, off of sales,
I
off of
understand.
expansions, off of the battle passes that are
I
clearly coming
understand.
in the game. Like they
I
didn't get any of that
understand.
before,
I
which
understand
means
that.
which means Sony keeps all the money when they sell it on PlayStation.
I understand that. But Microsoft made y'all look like a fool by buying all of ZeniMax. You own Bungie, who used to make Halo for them. You don't got the mugs making a game for your own console.
Nope. That was part of the contract. We are making
Oh,
multi-platform games. That was part of the
but
contract.
that's great and dandy. I'm gonna pass on this contract. Y'all continue to do what y'all want to do. I need y'all to. If I'm gonna have these games as a service and all of this nonsense on my platform, I'm speaking as I was Jim Ryan. If I was ghetto and everything, I'm gonna need y'all to make one game for my system. If y'all can't do that, great. we'll still work together so that your games come on our platform. That's great and dandy. But if I'm going to acquire you, if I'm going to pay the full price of owning y'all, regardless of contract, I need some. I don't care if it was a Destiny 2D shoot 'em up game only on PlayStation 5. You need to make something for this platform.
Hmm.
Because if we're paying y'all bills to keep y'all lights
Oh,
on,
jeez.
you need
Okay.
to do something.
Okay. Well,
Sorry, I
Jim
had to
Ryan,
get ghetto.
we thought you were boring. You sold consoles. You invested in VR. Farewell. Good luck in retirement.
You did what you did. You did what you came to do, and that was it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave it at that.
I mean, yes, technically, yes, he did. We'll see. We'll see how the games as a service roadmap plays out, but I wonder if that
Let's
focus
see.
will change moving on. All right. Speaking of moving on, we're
Let's see
moving
how
on to
long
the
that
next.
gets supported.
We're moving on to the next other side story since we spent 20 minutes talking about Jim Ryan and PlayStation. Welcome to Nintendo Podcast, everybody. um, So Apple announced their new phones, right? The iPhone 15 line of products. The iPhone Pro and Pro Max models will be selling premium games on the platform. The prices for Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 remake have been priced. The title of the article in CNET says Resident Evil Village on iOS is legit. I forgot I wasn't playing on a console, which is you know pretty big news. So they revealed they're going to put premium games on iOS. Resident Evil Village is running, and Resident Evil 4 Remake are all running on iPhone 15 Pro, iPhone 15 Pro Max, as well as iPads with M1 or later generation chips. So the last 2 or 3 generations of iPad will also run these at some point. The game does have touchscreen controls, but
Before you go, Corey. Before you go, are they releasing a new iPad or did they just do the phones?
well, the phones and the iPads and the laptops are spring releases, and the phones and the watches are fall releases for
So we'll
Apple.
get a new one next year.
We will probably get
okay.
a new iPad somewhere between March and May.
Okay.
It does have touchscreens controls that are responsive, but they were given an Xbox Bluetooth controller, which worked fine, although there was just a hint of lag. I wonder if this will be different on Apple TV, like the box, but I don't know, because we will probably get a new version of Apple TV set top box in the spring also to run these games. That's my guess.
Okay.
As for the game itself, it was a spot on mobile version of Resident Evil Village. He played for about 20 minutes, but it did give me time to see the details of the characters and the cutscenes, as well as get into some action moments. While playing, I had to remind myself that I was playing on an iPad and wasn't just streaming the game on something like Xbox Game Pass or GeForce Now. So the prices of these things, which will be interesting to see if the mobile market will handle these prices at all. But Resident Evil Village will come out on October 30th for $30 on the App Store. It is now available for pre-order. Resident Evil 4 Remake will release. It doesn't have a release date for that, but will release at $60. So these are full price games. Running on iPhone. I know Kojima is going to release Death Stranding on Mac, which is a big thing. And there's a lot of other games supposedly coming at the recent Apple event, which I watched. Apple is going to make like actual playing games on Mac devices, iPads, mobile, even desktops and laptops. They said Apple is going to be more about gaming from here on out, and to the point where they're even making a I'm trying to think. They're making a program. So Steam has this program that they use where you can play Linux-based games on Windows machines. What
Yeah.
Apple is going to do, they're making a program that's similar. Proton is what it's called. Sorry, everybody. I couldn't think of the name. I almost said Parallels, but that's a different Windows program.
Okay.
So Apple is making a Proton type program that will allow you to play Windows games from Steam and other places on your Mac. And that's going to release sometime next year, maybe. And that's a really big deal for Mac owners because obviously Mac isn't really known for games like that. Steam has Mac games on it, but like, look, I want to play Roller Coaster Tycoon, okay, and I don't want to have to switch over to Windows mode on my in Boot Camp to play it. Okay, I want to play it in a little tiny window on my screen while either I'm podcasting or writing up docs or whatever. Okay, I'm very excited for this. But this is a really interesting play considering like the Steam Deck is out and obviously Lenovo's thing's coming out and the ROG Ally is pretty popular. And obviously the next gen Switch, Apple is kind of taking this step with their phones, which is interesting. I really am interested in how this works. I will probably try probably something a little bit cheaper than $60 on a phone. But Ed, how do you feel about Apple taking gaming seriously, and do you think it's going to affect other markets at all?
It's not going to affect other markets. I completely laugh at this because the way you did Apple Arcade, that
It's awesome.
kind of went busted because no one talks about it. I don't hear about games coming to the service.
Do you go out of your way to look that up though, Ed?
I sometimes do. Yes.
Do you?
And I don't see much or anything. I do look for PC gaming and phone gaming and mobile gaming. I do look for that for news and everything. I just don't see a lot of it. So I think my thing is that yes, this is a big focus, but it needs to be a continued focus. And I don't think Apple is going to be focusing on that in a sense. Yeah, like I understand that you're going to be like, you're probably going to have Assassin's Creed Mirage on there. You're probably going to have some ports and stuff on there. Great, dandy, good. But are you going to continue to focus on this? When you have your presentations or hopefully some Apple Directs or whatever and stuff, is this going to be a continuous thing? Or are you just making this as a statement, put it out, and then not focus on it and everything? Because that's going to be the thing that you're proving that you're really into gaming and stuff. That you have this as part of your plan and focus, and this consistent. The moment that it's not consistent, to me, you just made a statement.
Ed, you want to hear a cool number? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Apple Arcade is bigger than Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus combined, with over 100 million subscribers.
Oh yeah, I can believe that because people got an Apple phone.
Oh. So why'd you say it wasn't doing well?
I didn't say that it was doing well. I said that it's something that nobody is talking about. That even Apple is not focused on it. Just because you have subscribers don't really mean anything to me. Because yes, you can have completely a lot of subscribers to any kind of service, but is it doing anything?
I mean, they have Fantasia. It's pretty exclusive. I want to play that game so bad.
So it's like even like I'm not even trying to knock NSO or anything, but NSO is big for $50 purchase per year as a service. But who's really talking about NSO until a game gets announced?
We do every week.
I mean, yeah, we do. but even
It's getting mad
Nintendo
at me,
doesn't
everybody. I
make
can
that.
feel the anger.
No, no, no. Even Nintendo doesn't make that consistent as they should, as they possibly could, and everything. Microsoft tries and PlayStation tries by announcing at least a game that's coming to their services every month. That's cool. Even with Game Pass, when games do get announced, they'll say games also coming to Game Pass. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's great and everything.
Yeah, but Apple
Um,
doesn't make games, right? I mean, that's not their focus,
mhm,
clearly, right? I mean, they're such a huge company that they don't. I mean, I think out of all the companies out there that could jump into the gaming space, like in a real way, not just a Google Stadia, pardon my French, half-assed way, right? Like
mhm.
Apple could be the one that could jump in and try it out with like a console or something, right? I mean, I really think Apple could do it if they wanted to.
I mean, they could, but like they need to be consistent. Yeah, they have 100 subscribers, but how many people are actually playing those games? And do they just have it just to be subscribed to something and giving them free money?
Well, the thing too is like they package it. Like I wonder how accurate that count is on a like you said, like a user base. I know I'm giving you a hard time with some of these numbers and stuff, but like mostly just to mess around. But because they package it with like the massive bundle, like you get obviously cloud, say like a cloud
Uh huh.
storage space, like 2 terabytes or whatever, and Apple TV, and unlimited photo storage, and Apple Arcade, and other Apple subscription services for like $30 a month, right? For all of
Right.
these subscriptions. And it's like, I wonder like if everybody subscribes to it, because I mean, if you subscribe to two of these things, you might as well just pay the $30 because you're only $2 or $3 away, right? And it's
Right.
I just wonder how many of those user subscriptions are in that bundle that aren't used at all, right? Like my parents subscribe to that bundle, right? Because they both have iPhones and they share the plan or whatever that they pay for.
Yeah.
They don't use Apple Arcade. Are you kidding? Are they? Do you count them as two users of Apple Arcade because they subscribe to it? Like I don't know. So, uh, but if Apple is going to offer this, these third party games on the phone as like a whatever, if you don't have one of these other consoles and you want to play Resident Evil, I guess this is an option. So I think it's interesting. I'm more excited about the desktop stuff, but also I don't care.
Also, I'm not an Apple user, so yeah.
Oh man, this episode's going really long. All right. So that's the other side. We're going to go into Pack Watch Ed. Here are the games that are coming to Nintendo eShop this week.
Yes.
10-3, Disgaea 7. Got great scores, by the way. 9s, 9.5s. Someone even gave it a 10. And I'm talking like major outlets. So join protagonist Fuji for a Disgaea adventure that's bigger and better than ever before. Dive into the demonic realm of Hinomoto, where the Bushido Code is out and the Hinomoto Code of Destruction is in. Consisting of a myriad of netherworlds, Hinomoto is home to the multitude of demons, each with their own beliefs. I butchered that Japanese, but it's fine. On 10-3, we're getting Silent Hope. Silent Hope is set in a fallen kingdom that many years ago had a king who sealed people's ability to speak following unprecedented tragedy. Afterward, he threw himself into the abyss and seemingly infinite underground expanse. Neat.
That sounds so weird.
Yeah. It's super cartoony too. On 10-4, we're getting a tiny sticker tale. A tiny sticker tale is a cozy miniature adventure about changing the world using the power of stickers. In a tiny sticker tale, man, that's so hard to say. That's so hard to alliterate. Take anything from the world around you, turn it into a sticker, and use your creativity to stick it back in different places, solving puzzles and helping your new friends. Sounds a little bit like on the line of like Scribblenauts.
Yeah.
mean, you're not drawing your own things or typing words to make things, but stickers to change the world sounds pretty um, interesting. All right, on 10.5, Wargroove 2 is coming. If you like Advance Wars, I would recommend Wargroove. In Wargroove 2, 3 years have passed since the events of the first game. You initially play as the Feari, a race of mouse people who have ventured into Ararnia to unearth the
Urania.
okay, these words were put in here to just trip me up.
Can I do it?
Capophony relics, one of which threatened the world during the previous conflict. No, I'm going to get through this, Ed. I'm going to get through it.
Okay.
If I mess it up, people will laugh, except for the hardcore Wargroove 2 people, and then they'll just tune out. On 10.6, Ed, we're getting Borderlands 3, the Ultimate Edition. Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition features the base game, all 6 content add-ons, and full collection of bonus cosmetic packs.
Next.
That's interesting. I wonder how that game's going to run. On 10.6, you'll also be getting Detective Pikachu Returns. The new adventure follows Tim Goodman and his partner, a wisecracking Pikachu with the ability to communicate with Tim as they attempt to solve the ongoing mystery behind the disappearance of Tim's father. Hope you didn't watch the movie because spoilers. And then on 10.10, Long Gone Days. Long Gone Days is an RPG set in the real world about human connection during war, focusing on civilians, language barriers, and borders. Follow Rourke, a young man trained from birth to be a sniper for the KOTOR, a subterranean paramilitary state. Coming to Nintendo Switch Online this week is Game Boy Advance Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. The mirror world, which exists in the skies of Dreamland, has been invaded by an evil shadow, and Kirby's the only one who can save the day. Fortunately, he won't have to go at it alone. He's been split into 4 Kirbys of different colors, and he can call up his colorful clones to lend a hand when needed. Summon red, yellow, and green Kirby to help solve puzzles, fight enemies, or take out the big baddies. Use the copy ability such as the arrow shooting Cupid Kirby or the Melee Master Smash Bros Kirby while platforming through the maze-like world.
And I have been playing Kirby in the Amazing Adventure. I played that.
Shocker. Well, that was the Super Nintendo one they just added, right?
No, Game Boy Advance.
Oh, was it? It was the other Game Boy Advance one that they added, like, what, last week maybe?
That is Kirby and the Amazing Mirror.
Oh.
What's the Game Boy Advance games? So it's available now for people to play.
It's too many Kirby games. They're all confusing.
I will say, because I never played this one, so this is my first time playing it.
There's too many Kirbys. All right, Ed.
Kirby.
It is. I'm throwing it back to you.
Everybody, it's time for Question the Block. And we have 3 questions coming from Discord and from Twitter. So thank you guys for sending in your questions. Our first one comes from Stephanie Kilmoff via Discord. She asks, can you explain the concerns of the increasing Saudi government share in the gaming industry? I'm a little slow on the uptake on what repercussions there are and why it's a big deal.
Yes, I can. So
okay, go ahead, Corey.
So like Chinese entities, the Saudi what's it called? The Saudi Public Fund, which is the fund that the Saudi royal family uses to invest in other things outside of oil, because as we're seeing, it seems that oil is going to be less important over the next 10 to 15 years, right? With the rise of electric cars, charging stations, more things run on electricity, and oil is going to be less important to move around and, use for other things. So the Saudi, where most of the oil comes from, is the Saudi region and, other Middle Eastern companies. And so they are investing in other things. So when the oil runs out or the need for oil runs out, they can still be making money. They bought all of SNK, and they're investing in different companies. Like obviously Nintendo has an 8%. They own 8% of Nintendo, I think. They own, various percentages of other companies. And so they are looking for new ways to make money. With that said, also like China, the Saudi uh, government is very, I would say, dangerous. Not like they're going to bomb us or anything, but their human rights are very limited. Um, Women who are not covered, their faces aren't covered, or like aren't dressed appropriately, um, are beheaded in the streets. Homosexuals are beheaded in the streets. It is a very dangerous country unless you are a wealthy male, right? And so, it's just a very, their way of life is not morally sound, I would say, to be nice, right?
Hmm.
They are very terrible to people that do not follow their strict guidelines. Um, and so the reason why people don't want the Saudi government, owning any of the gaming industry is because they're dangerous people and they're bad people, and it's the same reason why we don't want China involved in some of this stuff, right? Because the Chinese government is not exactly great either. And so a lot of, you know, a lot of people like us, I guess, like Americans and Western civilizations don't really want these countries getting involved in our business practices because they are just terrible people and people are afraid they are going to ruin uh, the industry. Because you look at China um, owning things, for example, right? You can't mention Taiwan. You can't mention the Hong Kong resolution. You can't talk bad about China, or they will not sell your game or your product in China. And China is
Hmm.
potentially the largest market in the world, right? A lot of free to play games are very popular over there. One of the Arc System Works games was banned in China because they mentioned Taiwan at some point, and so they had to patch their game so they did not mention Hong Kong or Taiwan. And and it's still banned over there because they mentioned it, and now they can't sell their games over there. Um, a lot of free to play games
Is
are
it
very popular over there. Is
is it Tilsit part of China,
Yep,
or is that
yep,
okay?
yeah, and Tencent and NetEase. Now NetEase operates independently. They were founded in China, but I think they operate independently of that government, and I think they've moved most of their operations to Europe at some point, or you know so that's the reason why people are afraid that, because like if the Saudi government um has majority control, they can dictate how you develop your games, what's in your games, what stories you can tell in your games, and takes away the creative freedom that these companies have, right? And so
Right.
um it gets dangerous the more percentage they own. And Tencent, I think Tencent's an easier pill to swallow, say, give or take, because they don't go to own companies. They just invest small amounts into these companies. Capcom has 10-cent investment. Um, Epic has 10-cent investment, I think. So like these companies are just, these government, and also like the other thing too is like the companies that are founded in China also have to, they're owned. The companies are owned by the government. All companies in China are owned by the government. So the government technically owns the games, and that's also a very dangerous thing. So, um, obviously, someone a lot smarter can dictate that a lot better. But that's the basic concept of this, and they are just dangerous companies to work with, especially if they're a majority owner. And so, I don't think Nintendo would ever let it get that far, right? Because Nintendo really values their independence and their creative control, but the potential is there. Um, for one of these companies to invest that much money. And so, um, it's something to look at periodically. Um, and yes, and obviously, like, we can't buy products we can't have a morally sound life and live how we live, right? Everything is made in
Mhm.
China or Indonesia or Taiwan, or everything's made over there because it's cheap, right? The t-shirt you have on was probably made over there. The hat you have on was probably made over there. Your underwear was probably made over there, right? So like it's hard. Obviously our consoles are made over there. Foxconn, one of the biggest manufacturers in China, made the Switch. They made the Xbox. They made the PlayStation. Right. I think Microsoft is actually trying to get out of China, or at least have some sort of alternative way to make their consoles. But that's basically it. I don't really know what else to say about it. They're just dangerous people to work with, and if they have too much power, they're going to use it. So.
Yeah. Or you split it off. I don't need to add anything else. So I'm gonna move on to Devin Cox via Twitter asks, "What Nintendo franchise do you think would work better if it were multi-platform?" Definitely, I will say Splatoon.
That's where I was going.
Splatoon definitely
That's exactly where I was
would
going
be a
in.
good one.
Yeah.
Because Mario Kart is just easier and everything.
Yeah.
But I think even some of the Mario sports games, like I think Wii Sports will also do phenomenal on Xbox and PlayStation or any other platforms.
Get that
But like
Connect out, everybody.
Splatoon, but I think Splatoon would definitely like. I could see Splatoon hitting all the hardware and even PC and mobile and stuff. I could see it hitting there, and that add more people to the series and be able to play just around the world in any way that they can.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think Splatoon would be the one I would point at and be like, that would be like, as a multiplayer game, that would be an amazing game. And I mean, Nintendo has quietly found themselves in a couple games as a service type games, right? Like Mario Kart, obviously, and Smash
Mhm.
Brothers could have been, right. I bet the next Smash Brothers, with this new console coming out, I bet a lot of these games become live service games. Like the next Mario Kart will probably be the last Mario Kart. I mean, technically, it could be. It could be the Fortnite of Nintendo or Smash Brothers. New characters, new costumes in the battle pass. Like, I think they could do stuff like that. But in terms of games to be multi-platform, man, he would have. I mean, the multiplayer games make the most sense, especially if you did cross-play or cross progression or something like that. I mean, you took my answer. Splatoon is a great answer. Uh, what other multiplayer games do they have that aren't like Mario related? Player Nintendo games. Let's see. I think the Mario sports games are great too. Mario Party would actually be a pretty good one.
Mhm.
I think Mario Party would be an awesome one. I
The
just
Legend of Zelda by name would
no, I don't. I think you have to choose games that will draw your interest towards Nintendo, but you leave stuff like Mario,
Mhm.
like the main Mario games, the main Zelda games. The main like top tier tentpole titles are Nintendo exclusives. I think you got to use like WarioWare, right? Would be a great
Mhm.
multi-platform game. Something like that you can
But
get away with.
But I'm saying the Legend of Zelda as like a single player game if it was treated as a multiplayer game. I mean a multi-platform, not nothing multiplayer, but like a single player game. I think because of the name alone, people seen the success of it. People would buy it on Xbox and PlayStation
Oh
and
yeah,
everything.
no, dude. I mean, you
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 know,
see Zelda selling now on the Switch, selling almost 30 million units. Breath of the Wild, right?
yeah,
Dude, that Breath of the Wild, if it was
and
multi-platform, would have sold probably 60 million units easy, clear in it, right? I mean that,
right.
but I
I
don't
mean,
want to see those games
like
multi-platform. Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing
Mm-hmm.
definitely would.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mario, I think you might have said Mario Party, but I
Yeah.
think Mario Party would
Yeah.
like if Mario Party was like crossplay
Mm-hmm.
in a sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
that would
these games would
definitely
have to be
be
cross-play.
yeah. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, you said the Mario sports games like Mario Strikers would be an awesome multi-platform game.
Yeah.
So,
It, trust me, if FIFA and Madden is not doing it, and the Mario Party series does, more people will play that.
did I?
Now, NBA Jam. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go
Not
ahead.
NBA
Keep
Jam.
going. Keep going.
No, NBA 2K. If that ever became a problem, I don't know what Nintendo could do with that. But go ahead, Corey. What you gonna say?
I was gonna say that I was gonna ask you if I told you I played the new Madden for the 10-hour limit that EA gives you with Game Pass.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude, it's worse. It is worse. I don't know how this game could be worse, but it is. And the online is worse.
Worse as oh, that's what I was about to say. Worse as in the online or
The online, the movement, the player control. It's I don't get how people play this game anymore. It is bad. It is so bad.
I don't even know if it I don't even know what the numbers are.
What? How much it sells?
Yeah, because I'm like
I mean,
the
it's not about the
Metacritic.
sales. It's not about the sales for them. It's about the ultimate team, and like it's the casual people that buy it that don't look at review scores. They
Mm-hmm,
it's the people who play. They play Call of Duty every year. They play Madden every year. They might dabble in one or two other games a year, and like that's their whole life is Madden, right? And every year they get the new Madden, and every year they play the new Madden. Trust me, I was in that boat for PlayStation 2. I bought Madden every year for PlayStation 2. I bought NCAA football and Madden every year. I would play NCAA until Madden came out, and then I would play Madden for the rest of the year. I used to be a Madden fanatic. And then when it started on the Xbox 360, right? Like I started getting the new Maddens, and like Madden '06 was terrible. And I ended up buying Madden for PS2 well into the life of the
mm-hmm.
360. Like until they stopped selling it, I would buy Madden for PS2 because it was so much better. And then it just kept getting worse. Just kept getting worse, Ed. Worse and worse and worse and worse. I can't wait till PS2 Madden is like a quote unquote retro game that they'll remaster, and I'll just play that. And then you can update your rosters and whatever, but I will just play that forever.
Wow.
Oh man, it's so bad. Anyways,
Well,
that's my
that's
rant
our
about Madden.
picks. Well, we're going to get into the third question. Captain Logan, shout out him from EXP. Um, asks, with a strong sense the new Switch console will be coming out in 2024, are you thinking we'll get a repeat of 2017 for the hardware reveal and first party lineup? So I think we'll probably get another commercial like in September, and then in January or February whenever they had the Japanese meeting to show more of it. I think we'll get that again. Um, I think our first party lineup will be a little bit stronger. I think we will get some new IPs from Nintendo a little bit down the line. I think Sega will have something for us. But like if we're just talking about first party, I think we'll get something that will showcase what the system can do. So I think they're going to connect it with the Joy Cons and maybe even the Wii remote and Wii U gamepad, or just like other parts of the controllers. Who knows? Maybe the Waybird from the GameCube.
Oh god.
Like who knows what Nintendo could do? But I think they're going to show off some third party stuff that could now be coming to the system, and what it is gonna be an idea of first, and then drop games. So we may get Arms 2 for the new system. We may see Splatoon 4. We may actually get a new Mario 3D game and stuff. Maybe they talk about backwards compatibility. Maybe they talk about region, the still thing is region free. And this time, if you want to buy games from Japan straight up the Japanese version on the eShop, you can. Like, who knows what they're going to talk about, which will double the first party line and stuff. Like, and if you buy the Japanese version, you may not get no English English text to it, so you may get hentai 2080.
Oh
Who
god.
knows? and it's a Sudoku card game or something.
Oh.
Who knows? Like Nintendo is very uh not confusing, but like it's hard to predict what they're going to do. But I think they can do what they did with 2017, give us some indie games, some low-key Squaresoft games, some ports and stuff, and then for the rest of the year just give us hit after hit after hit.
Yeah, I'm of two minds of this. So yes, I do think we're going to get a great lineup within the first year. There's no doubt about that, right? Like, I mean, the Odyssey team has clearly been working on something that we don't know, right? Clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have they also it depends on if the console is backwards compatible or not. I
Yes.
think it's going to be, personally. If they don't, they're shooting themselves in the foot. But I think they launch with a Mario game. I think Mario Kart 9 comes out within the first 6 months. I think we'll get a couple, because we still have Wii U ports, right? So I think
Mm-hmm.
we'll get Zelda ports that we didn't get on Switch. Also, I want to say that some of these games will be exclusive to the new console and some of them will be cross platform. Okay. Like the Zelda ports will be able to be played on Switch now, but they will
Yes.
come out. And if you buy it digitally, you won't know the difference. But if you go to the store, they're going to be in the next console's box. Um, like kind of like Game Boy Color, right? Where there were certain games that could be played on both, and there were certain games exclusive to the new one, right? Where the black cartridges of the Game Boy Color were the what am I trying to say? Were the ones that you could play on both, where the clear green cartridges were the exclusive games, right? I think you're going to
Okay.
see
Yeah.
a deal like that where they're going to be marketed for the new console, but the cartridge, if it's playable on Switch, it's going to be on a black cart. Okay, if it's uh for the new console, it's going to be on a white cart. It's going to be very similar to DS and 3DS, where they both fit in the same slot, right? And so that's my opinion. I think we're going to get Mario exclusive, Mario Kart 9 exclusive, Zelda ports will be cross platform, Metroid Prime 4 will be cross platform. So that right there, I think, not in the launch lineup, but I do think that we're going to get that within the first year and a half or so. I also think we're going to see new titles that are smaller. I don't think we'll get Splatoon 4 at launch, but I do think we'll get it within the first year and a half, maybe. Because Splatoon 3 has been out for a year?
Yeah.
So that'll have been 3 years. Um, maybe 4 years between Splatoon 2 and 3, right? So I'm just trying to think out loud here. Sorry, I know this is great podcasting. I do think we'll get Arms 2. I think we'll get um I think we'll I'm trying to think of what came out um with the Switch, if there's any. I think we'll get deluxe versions of Mario and Rabbids and stuff like that. I think we'll get a couple upgraded versions of older games. I'm just trying to think of everything that's man, there's so many games on Switch that I'm just like wrapping my mind. We won't get Luigi's Mansion because they're making Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, right?
Right.
We won't get that in the first year. I mean, some of these games that they're putting out for Switch would have been great filler titles, between the tent poles. I wonder if they'll
Shoot,
market.
like you mentioned,
Yeah.
before, like we probably could get an F-Zero game
Yeah.
as a launch,
Yeah. I mean,
a Star Fox game.
yeah.
Like,
Star Fox would be a great filler title. I don't know what you do with it. I wonder if it'd be like a smaller game, but like, yeah. So on an expansion, I don't know if it's out or not. I can't keep track anymore. I think it's out. I said that while they work on Mario Kart 9 and perfect it, we would get an F-Zero at launch. And I still think that might
Hmm.
be the case based on the reception to F-Zero 99. Also,
Yeah.
it's been rumored that F-Zero has kind of been in development for a while. The creator kind of commented on something right the other day on something about F-Zero. Uh, oh, anyway, I'll finish my F-Zero thought and then I'll say the other thing. So I think we're going to get F-Zero. We might get an F-Zero game at launch, and Mario Kart 9 will be the Christmas game, either that year or the following year. I don't know. It depends on when the console comes out. But the Star Fox game, Star Fox Grand Prix, remember that was on some sort of leaked document, and they pulled it at the last minute
Yeah.
because that game was almost done at one point, and they there's a couple stories revolving around this game. Some say that Nintendo put out fake logos of this game to see who would leak it and who wouldn't. I don't really think Nintendo would do that on purpose. Uh, Others are it was canceled or shelved for a little bit so Retro could work on Metroid Prime 4. Also don't know if that's true or not, but I wonder if we'll get something like that.
I wonder, do you bring out a Donkey Kong game first before Mario?
I mean, they could make
I
the
would be
HD. They could
I
make the
would be
HD version
shocked
of
if
it.
they did that.
I mean, they could do the HD version of Donkey Kong Country Returns to be a filler title, because I think they're going to start doing Wii and we've already seen GameCube games come over. I think they're going to do HD
Mhm.
versions of Wii and GameCube games. I think they're going to do remakes of Super Nintendo games, and from that era. Maybe we get some N64 remakes at some point, right? Like, or remasters at least. I mean the standard definition consoles, right, especially GameCube and Wii, are ripe for HD remasters. We've had that discussion. I mean, we're
Mhm.
starting to see 3DS games and DS games come over. So, like, who knows? Who knows what Nintendo's doing? Who knows?
Playtonic doing a new Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, that's been rumored for a while. They already kind of said they don't want to return to Banjo or Donkey Kong, but also when was their last game? And I'm sure the studio needs money to, I don't know, exist. So I'm sure if Nintendo threw them a little cash and be like, "Hey, make
Mhm.
the third 2D Donkey Kong game," depending on the money, like they probably wouldn't say no to that at this point. Especially because Ukulele and the Impossible Lair was so good, man. That game was awesome.
I love that game. Yes, but I could see them. I could see Nitty and Playtonic playing around with which I got new going on.
Yeah.
I literally could see that. Now, I think I'm gonna have to go with you, Corey, now, because I know I argued this, but it may be looking this way. So, and I would take, I would give you all props to this. I think Metro Prime 4 is going to be crossplay,
Hmm.
not crossplay, cross platform.
Hmm.
I that it is feeling more likely that way.
Hmm.
If Nitzy really want to go out with a bang, but yet also serve with a hot title for this new console, Metro Prime 4 would be the best one.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think you have. I think at this point in time, they may not have another choice.
Yeah.
So I rescind my opinion, and I think I'm gonna have to agree with you that it may just be cross platform. So if they
Yeah.
don't show anything now, and they don't show nothing at the Game Awards, I literally don't know. I
Hmm.
I I like literally, if I don't see nothing at the end of this year, and I think January or February's Nintendo Directs,
Hmm.
if I don't see nothing Metro Prime wise, I think it's time for us to say, yeah, it may be cross platform.
Yeah. I uh I mean, I think they're going to try to drag this out. I think Metroid Prime 2 and 3 are going to come at some point in the next year
Mhm.
next 6 months, probably actually. Uh, I think, you know what I think it's time for would be a great title to add to a launch window lineup, Ed. Especially with the success of 3D World, would be another Captain Toad game. You know, that budget title in between tent poles, everybody loves it. Those puzzles are small enough for them to make. Yeah, I think it's time for another Captain
It's
Toad.
it's tough. Yeah.
It's time for
For a
Captain
part two.
Toad.
Yeah.
It's time for either another remake or a Let's Go Pokemon game. There's going to be a Pokemon game at launch. I don't
Oh
know what
yeah.
kind it is, but there's going to be a Pokemon game at launch. Not a new one, but like, well, I don't know. It could be an Arceus style game in a new region.
Well, depending on what Game Freak does, because they're working on their own game, so it's just like.
It doesn't have to be Game Freak though. You know,
But I wonder who would the Pokemon company go?
Grezzo. Give it to Grezzo. Grezzo does stuff.
Expansion pass for the future.
It's also probably time for another Mario Maker. I'm looking at Nintendo's first party stuff on Switch and just trying to figure out like what games haven't we gotten recently.
I think it's time for another Punch Out.
Punch Out would be a great addition to it would be like a library filler game. People would
that Wii one was good.
I know that was
really good.
One of about 8 games I really loved on the Wii. Man, that Punch Out would be great. Zack and Wiki, like get Capcom to on the phone and be hey, let's make an HD remaster of Zack and Wiki. I bet,
and I love to stay with first party, but come on now, Capcom. You don't think?
I mean, if you want to talk third party real quick, I bet an Assassin's Creed game shows up on the Switch. I bet Mirage shows up on the next console. I mean, not the Switch, the next console. I think Final Fantasy Remake's going to show up. I think
Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 is going to show up.
I think Street Fighter 6 is a shoe-in.
If they do not if they do not remaster Soul Calibur 2 for Switch 2, we got a problem. Yeah. I need that game to come back.
Yeah, I think Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remakes are shoe-ins, not cloud versions. I think stuff like that is definitely
give us the full Kingdom Hearts experience by actually putting it, making it digital, so people could just download and buy it.
Yeah,
like the cloud stuff. Nintendo got the power to not do cloud. I'm good for it. Let's go all in.
Yeah. So I don't. There's a lot of possibilities, right? I mean, yeah, I know we got to get out of here. We've been going for almost 3 hours, but although I like this, but I know the audience will probably not make it this far. So, man, dude, this show would be 3.5 hours every day if we could. But aside from this episode, we try to keep it condensed for the audience. Besides this episode, clearly.
Well, everybody, we're going to get into our final thoughts. My final thought, just to let everybody know, I don't know if you caught this, Corey, that Batman Arkham Trilogy for Nintendo Switch has been delayed to December 1st.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just announced it. So, yeah. So we got delayed to December 1st. So now it's a December game, which is cool. I'm cool with that.
You know what December release I'm excited for, Ed?
Which is
Hogwarts Legacy.
I thought that was November.
Is it? Oh, well, even better.
So, but we're still waiting to see how that game looks on Switch.
Dude, I turned that game on the Xbox Series X the other day. That game still chugs on the Series X. How is this game going to run on the Switch?
Ooh, good googly moogly. Someone give that thing some updates.
I'm still going to get it. $60.
But Corey, you have any final thoughts?
I just I don't know, man. There's something about just hanging out and talking about Nintendo, and I know sometimes we say some crazy BS stuff, one of us more than others, but I mean, I know I said some really dumb stuff tonight, but like I don't know. It's really fun to be the fan and the speculator while also trying to pay attention to the industry and trying to make smart uh, commentary on some of the stuff. And I know we don't do that sometimes, but other times we do. And I think, I don't know, man. We've been doing this show for 7 years now, and it's like I still get excited for Monday nights asterisks to do this show. Asterisks as in maybe doing it on a Thursday night or a Friday night because Ed has to work. And I don't know, man. I'm just I know I lean towards, the third party games on Xbox recently, but like it's still fun to Nintendo is this show and Nintendo is special, and I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going. I'm just rambling now because I'm kind of tired, but it's fine.
I will say, because this came on Game Informer, they have a little story about Pikmin 4 that I want to read, so you guys can read about that on Game Informer. I
Patch
think they just dropped
1.02 is
it.
out.
Oh yeah. So but yeah, but everybody, that's gonna be it for Nintendo Pow Block. Thank you, Corey. That was a fun episode. We told you, me and Corey was texting everybody. We said we got a beefy episode, and man, was it beefy.
Yeah.
So with that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Pow Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!
Goodbye.
If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.